Your home value is way up. Why not use that equity to make your house even nicer for the new year? Hey, Willie Donick here talking about a cash-out refi with Loan Pronto. So call Loan Pronto now. They're fast-tracking home refis for the new year, and people are getting checks for 60, 70, 100 grand or more. And right now, Loan Pronto can even cover all your closing costs. Listen, your home's value is way up. All you have to do is convert that equity into cash. Cash for a new luxurious kitchen or a new home office, or start that swimming pool so you can use it for the summer. Call Loan Pronto now. You can even close in as little as 2 weeks with a big check. Do it now and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. So make 2022 the year you fix up your home and reinvest with Loan Pronto's help. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Feeling bold? Ready to get cold? Then it's time to get freezing for a reason. Now you can support Special Olympics Tennessee when Asurion presents the Music City Polar Plunge. Join us at Nissan Stadium Saturday, February 19th and help our Special Olympics heroes win again in 2022. Jump, run, or tiptoe in. You'll be helping us build a better and cooler community for 17,000 plus Special Olympics athletes. Get going. Take one big leap for Special Olympics at PolarPlungeTN.com for the coolest thing you'll do in 2022.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
When purchasing your next vehicle, it's nice to know that you can deal with a locally owned dealership like Payne Chevrolet that has been in the same family for over 96 years. Home of the lifetime powertrain warranty on new and pre-owned vehicles, Payne Chevrolet also makes it easy to shop. You can literally go to PayneChevrolet.com, point, click, and drive away in your new or pre-owned vehicle. Check out Payne Chevrolet in Springfield on Memorial Boulevard or go to PayneChevrolet.com. Payne Chevrolet, 9 decades, 4 generations, and 1 tradition.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Your home value is way up. Why not use that equity to make your house even nicer for the new year? Hey, Willie Donick here talking about a cash-out refi with Loan Pronto. So call Loan Pronto now. They're fast-tracking home refis for the new year, and people are getting checks for 60, 70, 100 grand or more. And right now, Loan Pronto can even cover all your closing costs. Listen, your home's value is way up. All you have to do is convert that equity into cash. Cash for a new luxurious kitchen or a new home office, or start that swimming pool so you can use it for the summer. Call Loan Pronto now. You can even close in as little as 2 weeks with a big check. Do it now and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. So make 2022 the year you fix up your home and reinvest with Loan Pronto's help. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN,
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
a Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios, Caroline Fenton is here today. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, how we doing?
Fantastic, outstanding. I feel weird. We're in different locations today. I felt like I was spying on you.
I know, I did have to turn my camera off because I was beep-bopping around the station here. I thought about bringing you with me, taking you on a full tour of the station.
I really felt like I was spying on you. It was really interesting. Ian's here today. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
So I have a group question I want to start the show on today. Should we concern ourselves with the high-end quarterbacks who might be available this year? Question mark.
It is worth the discussion, and it is worth looking into, but it seems as if one certain high-end quarterback that we thought could have been on the market may no longer be on the market or may be looking elsewhere.
Okay.
In
How
Aaron
so?
Rodgers.
Okay. So you're using the Nathaniel Hackett news out of Denver today, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when we talk about the high-end quarterbacks that are out there, there's 3.5. Because there's Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson,
Yes.
Tom Brady, and Brady is, I don't know,
Question
because he may
mark.
retire, but there's some speculation, which we'll get to in a second. And then there's Derek Carr, and they don't even have a coach or a general manager, so I have no idea how the Raiders feel about Carr. And honestly, is Carr a high-end quarterback? Is he that much better than Tannehill? I don't know. So I am at the point now. TD's going to be with us in an hour. He wrote at ESPN.com, the Titans have reached their ceiling with Ryan Tannehill. And I agree. And that's why Saturday night, I told you all on Monday, time for a divorce. And I woke up this morning and I saw the news that the Denver Broncos, who very much are, we can agree, the Broncos are very much are monitoring the high-end quarterback market. They went out and hired Green Bay's offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett as their head coach. Now, Hackett was the OC in Jacksonville when they had Blake Bortles under Doug Marrone. And even though I actually thought Hackett did a pretty good job, I think it's pretty obvious that they're not hiring Hackett because of what he did in Jacksonville. They're hiring Hackett. He didn't call the plays in Green Bay. They're hiring Hackett because they're going to make a run at Aaron Rodgers. But Adam Schefter, Caroline, told us this morning, Shefty says they did not hire Hackett to go get Rodgers. Here's what he said.
Packers offensive coordinator instead will be going to Denver to be introduced as the next head coach of the Denver Broncos. And so we just look at where he's come from and what it is. The Broncos didn't hire Nathaniel Hackett because they want to use that as a chip to trade for Aaron Rodgers. They hired Nathaniel Hackett because they believe in him as a coach, because they thought he was the right guy for their organization. The fact that he knows Aaron Rodgers and has a relation, that's a cherry on top. Don't get me wrong. But that's not why they hired Nathaniel Hackett.
You buy that?
Okay. Yeah, sure, it's not.
I mean, come on.
Sure, it's not.
Like, come on. What are his other qualifications? So,
Great guy. Elite toughness.
I just wonder this. Should we look into it, or are we wasting time looking into it? With the three guys, Rodgers, we'll get to Brady in a second, and Wilson. All three would be legitimate upgrades over Tannehill, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's a big deal. Because somebody asked me today, they were like, is Russell Wilson really that big of an upgrade over Ryan Tannehill?
What?
And I'm like, did you see the game on Saturday? Like,
what?
Like, did you see the game Saturday?
If Russell Wilson's your quarterback on Sunday, you win that game.
I mean, if Russell Wilson's your quarterback, you're probably the Super Bowl favorite right now, even with Kansas City coming to Nissan Stadium.
Probably so.
So
Russell Wilson and that defense?
Russell Wilson. And when was Russell Wilson at his best? When he had Marshawn Lynch with him in Seattle. That's when they won a bunch. So, I mean, I think we should be allowed to do this. I have a feeling, though, like the morning show, I listen to them. They're kind of talking about it. But I don't think they're, like, really willing to let anybody believe that it's a possibility that the Titans could upgrade at quarterback.
I believe that anything right now is a possibility. Like, until there is pen to paper, I believe that anything can be on the table.
Ian, do you think we should be monitoring the high-end quarterback market right now?
I don't see why it would hurt.
I just asked this question. What do you think John Robinson's doing?
I mean, you would think they would try to explore all options, at least see, you know?
Sure.
So
like, they watch the same game we
talk it through
watched.
at least.
They all watch the same game we watch, and they have more skin in it than we do. And I was thinking about it. I was talking to Sean Reese, Floyd's son, and I said, you know, how long would it take after a loss like that before Floyd was like right on into the draft? And he was like, the second the game is over, Floyd's into the draft and free agency. That he's all in. And I would agree that Robinson's probably the same way. I just can't believe that everybody around the country can have the same opinion about the game, and then the Titans brass not have a similar opinion about the game. Now, they had a similar opinion, I guess, when they lost to the Colts in 2018 about Blaine Gabbert. Like, okay, we can't have this as our backup quarterback. And then they went out there and they went and got Ryan Tannehill, but it took until the beginning of March before they were able to make that happen. So even if they make a Russell Wilson trade, like, it will take time in order to do it. A Rodgers trade, it will take time to do it. But I think we should look at it. I think we should look at it because I've determined you can't win the Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. You can't luck into it. You can't, like the Vrabel line, the be great around him. And I thought about this today when I was listening to Derek Mason go off on the midday show about that Vrabel line about being great around Tannehill. And it was crazy because I heard that. And I thought to myself, because Derek was like, he said it out loud, people, and I was like, oh, wow, that really is, when the coach says, hey, we have to be great around him, that really is kind of a backhanded compliment, right?
It sounds like, okay, he can deliver what we need him to do as long as everything is perfectly in place around him. Because there are a lot of quarterbacks out there that don't need everything to be perfect around them to be great.
Joe Burrow has no offensive line.
Yep.
But what's crazy is I was thinking about that, and I was like, aren't the Titans already kind of great around him? They have a number one wide receiver that's better than most number one wide receivers on other teams across the league. They have the best running back in the NFL. They probably have the best backup running back in the NFL. And I'm not talking about in the future. I'm talking about the team they had right now. They have a solid offensive line, not a great offensive line, not a terrible offensive line, solid offensive line. They've got a great defense with maybe the best defensive line and pass rush in the NFL. They've got an all-pro safety. They got great middle linebackers in Cunningham and Long. Like, aren't they already great around him? They got one of the best punters. Aren't they already great around him?
You look at the defensive performance on Saturday, that's a great defense. You look at A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry, and you mentioned Deontay Foreman. Those are great offensive pieces.
The offensive line's fine?
The offensive line is fine. It's fine. It's a good team. It's a solid team.
When you pay the quarterback $38 million against the cap next year, there's no way to be great around him. So it's like, we need to be great around him, but you can't do it.
It's almost like they have to play a perfect game, for it to break. And it's just unrealistic to expect the entire team to play perfect for so many games in a row.
Sure.
When your quarterback isn't playing close to perfect.
Yeah.
No, the entire team played fine. I heard today, and we'll get into it, but Jim Wyatt, and I love Jim Wyatt with all my heart. He's a great reporter. He's the greatest Titans reporter in the history of Titans reporting. But I heard Jim Wyatt today basically say that, hey, it's not just Tannehill's fault. Here's a couple of examples of mistakes the team made that if they didn't make. And D. Mace goes, Jim, I love you, but, and I definitely got a good kick out of that. I think we should look at it. And it sounds like it's a unanimous decision around here that we think the Titans should look at the high-end quarterback market.
It's worth looking into, yes.
Ian?
Yeah, I would say so. It's worth looking into.
Okay, and we think there's 3. Are we going to include Watson? Because he would be 4.
Yeah, throw him in there.
Is he a realistic landing spot here, given the division?
Well, I was watching basketball last night, and I saw at the bottom of the screen, it said, Giants owner says Giants will not pursue Watson, and then underneath that, it said, owner cites lack of cap space, sexual assault claims. I was like, well, those 2 things certainly will make it difficult.
Those are 2 doozies.
Those are, and which one's more important to the Giants? I don't know.
I don't think they want you to know which one is more important to the Giants.
I don't know. So let's include Watson. I agree with Ian. Like, there's just too much bull crap with Watson. And of all the guys out there, other than Rodgers, I think I would take Watson. Like, just pure football alone. He's got talent. He creates on his own. Vrabel kind of coached him as defensive coordinator of the Texans. Like, I think I would want Watson the most.
But with Watson, you're not getting just football.
No, I said take the bull crap out, but
you can't.
There's too much bull crap there. But that would be the number 1 guy. Well, number 2 behind Rodgers, because I think Rodgers is unbelievable, and I can't even stand Rodgers. But I think Rodgers is unbelievable. But so let's include him too: Rodgers, Wilson, Brady, and Watson. Put them all on the table. 615-737-1025. This show wants to move on from Tannehill. This show wants to talk about Rodgers, Wilson, Brady, Watson. And there is one that I actually think, much to the chagrin of Robbie and Joe, there is one that I do think might actually be possible. I'll explain that next. Stillman and Company, right here, delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jared Stillman and Company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 102.5 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood. Give local. Give life.
The playoffs are in full swing, and Electronic Express is bringing you halftime show-stopping deals. Get the full game day experience. 4K TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. We've also got huge savings in every department. Computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, and more. The game wouldn't be complete without the food, so save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. We've got what you need to get big game ready at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Professional quilt maker Dana Balliard once said, "There are no rules in quilting, and if you think that there are, then it's time you try breaking a few." Now, I like that type of creative entrepreneurial spirit, and that's why I do my adult beverage trading at Red Spirits and Wine. It's not just a great selection of distilled spirits, single-barrel Red Select whiskeys, great wines from around the world, and awesome craft beers, but it's more the way the folks at Red just go about their business. At Red, they keep it interesting and fun. And the Crackerjack crew makes you feel welcome after a hard day on the trail, never coming off like some of them snooty-nosed, big-talking whoop-de-doos. At Red, it's always square dealing with the best in service, selection, and prices. Plus, Red is locally owned by real folks, not some totally faceless corporation. There's no doubt in my mind, Red is my kind of place. Red Spirits and Wine, Highway 70 South and Old Hickory Boulevard. And check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and at redspirits.com.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. We've brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, and pendants. We have the styles and looks on every woman's wish list, things you can't find anywhere else. And for 2022, Genesis is now offering a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular styles in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2022 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Chase McKay. Bet on more than the final score with One Game Parlay at BetMGM. One Game Parlay is an exciting feature designed to help you make selections within a single game from over 400 bet types, including team and player props. Log into your BetMGM account and create your best parlay before the game starts. New to BetMGM? Sign up today and make your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 with bonus code 1025GAME. You can place one-game parlay bets on football, basketball, and more. Plus, you'll earn M-Life rewards, and you can redeem for room nights and dining at any MGM resort nationwide. Try One Game Parlay today. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Like, we're talking multiple first-round picks to acquire any of these players. Whether it's Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, start with 3 first-round picks, okay? So if you're talking Rodgers, you're talking Wilson, you're starting with 3 first-round picks. If you want to go down the Deshaun Watson route, you're starting with 3 first-round picks immediately and additional assets. That's how pricey that market would be, even if you can get the Seattle Seahawks to go, yeah, you know what, we're willing to part ways with Russell Wilson at this point. On the other side of Russell Wilson, there's going to be a contract extension, probably not for a year, but you're looking at another massive contract extension. There's potential for Deshaun Watson for another contract extension. Aaron Rodgers, automatic contract extension. So you're talking about 3 first-round assets additional assets, and then very likely within 12 months of any of those players, but you're talking about a $40 million a year contract extension for a number of those players. So that's the kind of commitment for the primary.
There you go. That was Charles Robinson, Yahoo Sports NFL insider on Robbie and Rexroad the other day. So 3 first-round picks is the starting price for Russell Wilson, according to Charles Robinson, right?
That's what he says.
Okay. But I was thinking about this today because everybody says, well, what would the Seahawks want? And everybody's talking about the Seahawks ramping up, hey, there'd be a big market there because all these teams, Detroit and Philadelphia, and all these teams would try to get in, not just you and Denver and whomever else needs a quarterback, Washington, whatever. But then I remembered one thing. Russell Wilson has a no-trade clause. And nobody's talking about that. That's how you depress the market. Russell's got a no-trade clause. So basically what the Titans have to do is they essentially have to tamper, and they have to get Russell to want to come to the Titans. Now, I don't know how they're going to go about that, but I was reading this article, and I want you guys to hear this article before you just shoot it down, because, Caroline, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like it would be fair to say that Robbie and Rexroad, listening to them, it is very much a somebody texts in, and Robbie goes, texter to the text line says, what about Russell Wilson? And Joe just goes, no. Fair?
Joe is not very open to the idea of exploring new quarterbacks.
Okay. Brady Henderson, who I think is the TD of the Seahawks, writes this yesterday at ESPN.com. Whenever the Seattle Seahawks hired a new defensive coordinator, the next item on their offseason to-do list should be the big one. Determine whether Russell Wilson will remain their quarterback in 2022. Wilson's future hardly seems certain, even with a few factors working against a trade. Among them, it's a bad draft for quarterbacks, which would make the already monumental task of replacing Wilson even harder. And while Wilson has indicated his preference is to stay, his comments have come with an unspoken qualifier that it must happen under the right circumstances, which is why, this guy writes, Wilson has stopped short of declaring he'll remain in Seattle even though it could be guaranteed via his no-trade clause. So Pete Carroll was asked about it. He said, quote, I don't know. I don't want to give you false hopes because there is just so much stuff that can happen in the offseason. There's unpredictable stuff, but we'll do everything we can to keep it in order and all that. So there you go. But here's the interesting part. He has like a couple different segments in this article. Free agents. Brady Henderson writes, you can bet Russell Wilson wants to know what the Seahawks offensive line plan is as 3 starters, left tackle Dwayne Brown, right tackle Brandon Shell, and center Ethan Posich are scheduled to be free agents. So apparently they're good there. Running back Rashad Penny is perhaps the most intriguing free agent, given a late season explosion in which he led the NFL in rushings over the last 5 games. So the running back's a free agent. The other UFAs on offense, tight ends Gerald Everett and Will Dissly, running back Alex Collins, offensive lineman Jamarco Jones, and quarterback Geno Smith. So I think all those guys are backups except for the 2 tight ends. So their tight ends are free agents. 3 of their 5 offensive linemen are free agents. Russell didn't even like the line to begin with, and the running back is a free agent. Then it says this at the bottom. How much cap space will the Seahawks have? The Seahawks figure to be in the top 10 of available 2022 cap space with around $40 million. But as always, that figure is a moving target. Trading Wilson would free up as much as $24 million for the upcoming season, leaving them with a massive hole at the most important position. So, they have cap space, which is important because they could take on a Tannehill contract. Draft capital. Here's the other important thing that he writes. If the Seahawks' worst season in more than a decade wasn't painful enough, they won't enjoy the biggest silver lining to a down year, picking early in the first round. The second of 2 first-round picks they gave the New York Jets in the Jamal Adams trade will be number 10 overall in April's draft. The Seahawks' draft capital would obviously change dramatically if they trade Wilson. Okay, so they have the salary cap space to take on a Tannehill trade. Russell doesn't want to be there, which we can agree on for the most part, right?
I think that's fair to say.
Okay. Russell doesn't want to be there. Russell's got a no-trade clause and can dictate where he goes, which would suppress the trade market. and they've got the cap space to exchange the quarterback contracts. And they need the draft picks. Like they don't have draft picks. Mm-hmm. They need them. Isn't this setting up to almost be exactly like the Goff trade for Stafford? If you get Russell Wilson to want to be here. And I think about all the teams in the league. Tennessee has no state income tax, which is a big deal. Mm-hmm. Nashville is a nice enough city. It is respected enough. I mean, I don't know what Sierra's interests are, but it's not like the Chargers and the Rams are looking for a quarterback.
Well, this is Music City.
Sure.
Sierra is a musician.
Albeit not that kind of music, but maybe.
But that's fine.
But like Russell has to look at that game Saturday because he watched it. He tweeted about it. Russell Wilson has to watch that game Saturday and think, God, if Tannehill just doesn't suck that game up, I mean, they win. Look at that defensive line. Look at A.J. Brown. And I get the best running back in the league. Like, I think Russell would want to come here. And, again, they can take on Tannehill's contract. Like, am I talking crazy here, Caroline?
I don't think this is crazy. No. I think the no-trade clause is an interesting wrench thrown in all of this, though. The fact that Russell has so much control over where he goes, which could be a good or bad thing for the Titans, and I don't necessarily know which one it would be. Just depends on where he wants to go.
The question is, does Russell want to go here? The 4 teams last year for Russell, remember, they gave a list. Chicago, not interested in Russell right now, and they don't even have a first-round pick this year because they used it to get Fields. The Saints, $70 million over the cap. No, we don't even know who their coach is.
No head coach.
Dallas, they've got Dak. Mm-hmm. And I forget who the 4th team was. Like maybe the Raiders?
I think that's right.
Okay, maybe the Raiders, that could be that. But they don't have a coach or a GM. And I just think if you're Russell Wilson and you watch the Titans on Saturday, they got the coach of the year. They got a great defensive line. They got the best running back in football that ran you out of your own stadium last year. They got a number 1 receiver. A solid offensive line, though. They will have to fix that, and they will have to explain to Russell how they plan to fix it. I don't think it's crazy. And I'm crazy. Like, I get it. I understand that, it hasn't kept me up at night, but it has been the only thing that I've thought about revolving around the Titans in the last 5 days is the quarterback position. And all I hear from everybody is, well, Tannehill, too much money, no way you can do that. And I'm like, but if you trade them and they take the salary of the guaranteed, I think it's like $29 million. I can't remember what the guaranteed salary is. But if they take the salary, just like the McVay Goff deal, if they do that and Russell wants to come here, it's probably 2 first-round picks for him. Because if Russell holds out, what's Seattle going to do? They're going to play Geno Smith at quarterback?
And that's another question. Is Ryan Tannehill an interesting get for the Seattle Seahawks? Would they want Tannehill? Is that a salary that they're willing to bring on?
Don't you think Tannehill, though, the player at quarterback, is better than almost anything else that Seattle can do outside of drafting a quarterback?
And even then, right away, Tannehill would probably still be the better option.
Yes.
Right.
Better than their backup.
This is another interesting quote from Pete Carroll. He said, quote, "Let me say this. We are going to compete at every turn. That's all we know how to do. That's all John Schneider, the GM, and I have been doing since we got here, and we're not backing off that. Whatever is there, we've got to exhaust the opportunities for our club. And from the owner, Jody wants us to take a look at every single opportunity to better the franchise and to help us, so that's what we do." I'm telling you, I think the Russell Wilson to the Titans, I don't think it's crazy. Kick it around the room. Is it crazy, Caroline?
No, I don't think it's crazy.
Ian?
I don't think it's crazy. I mean, I think this could be a pretty decent place for a quarterback to want to come to, if they're not happy with their situation.
The Titans have got to tamper with Russell Wilson. That's what's got to happen. And what's crazy, because the team loves Tannehill, right? Like Taylor Lewan and
They say they love Tannehill.
They need like Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown to, behind the scenes, recruit Russell Wilson. Like that's what they need Russell. If they get Russell on board, Russell's the quarterback of the Titans. Let's get your reaction to it. 615-737-1025. Rogers is in the mix. There's a Brady element to this as well. 615-737-1025. TD at 3 o'clock. Caroline wants to tell you about Caesar Sportsbook.
All right, people, it is time for the Caroline Fenton Caesar Sportsbook Report. It pains me to say this, but there are only 3 football games left in the season, not counting the Pro Bowl, and 2 of those 3 games go down this championship Sunday. So suffice to say, these are must-watch, must-wager matchups. Now, before the games get underway, download Caesar Sportsbook, and they will match your first bet with a free bet up to $1,001. All you have to do is just use promo code RADIO-RF, one word, Radio RF, and they will match your first bet with a free bet up to $1,001. Now, we talked about the over in the Bengals-Chiefs game, the AFC Championship game yesterday, and that's shifted up to 54.5. But that over-under for the 49ers-Rams game is staying put right at 46. I personally would take the under in that game because I don't see the 49ers scoring too many points against the Rams. But hey, that's my advice. Do what you want to do and do it with the Caesar Sportsbook app. Must be 21, offer valid in Tennessee only, new users and first qualifying wager only. Paid and bet credit must be used within 7 days of receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesar Sportsbook. Download it, people.
Hey, this is Matt Duchene, and this is Smashville.
Running down the left side with Duchene. Duchene scores! Matt Duchene with the overtime winner.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Furniture has never been easier to buy than now at Social Furniture. All the 2022 models are arriving daily with the latest styles and colors ready for delivery today. There's no waiting, and they have same-day delivery for your convenience. Use their financing and pay no money down and pay no interest for 1 full year. Yes, you heard right. No money down and no interest for a year. It's all easy at Social Furniture. All furniture at Social is top quality, solid woods and designer fabrics. Buy local. Support Social. Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville.
If you snore, it may be a sign of a more serious, possibly life-threatening condition. Most people think of snoring as a nuisance, but it's a much more serious medical condition than you think. Snoring has been associated with chest pain, sleep apnea, high blood pressure, chronic pain, obesity, headaches, and sore throat. Take a listen to what some of our patients are saying about the revolutionary Vivo system.
Right after I started using it, I noticed the results really, especially with the snoring. My sleep apnea episodes are a fraction of what they were before. This product's phenomenal. It changed my life.
I am 100% happy that I did this, and I'm thankful every day that I have it.
If you're curious about our sleep devices, call now for a sleep consultation. Don't let your spouse have to sleep in the guest room, and don't risk the severe health complications of snoring and sleep apnea.
Dr. Kelly Rice is certified to provide the Vivo system to open the airway for a better night's sleep. Call 615-373-4488 or go to BrentwoodSleepApnea.com now to see which therapy can work best for you.
Individual results may vary. Always seek the advice of your health provider with any questions regarding a medical condition.
Men, let's have an honest talk about sex, because for just about all of us, sex is a pretty big deal. Here's the problem. If you're a man over 40, it's likely you're living with erectile dysfunction. But men don't talk about ED because it's embarrassing, it's taboo, and so many of us just suffer in silence year after year. And all the while, ED affects your relationships, your attitude, even your outlook on life. If ED is affecting you, call the Tennessee Men's Clinic. They offer treatments that are effective in nearly 90% of cases, even if pills and herbals have failed, and often regardless of medical condition. For just $99, you'll get a medical consult, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Get treated. If you're like most men, you could get your sex life back. Call the Tennessee Men's Clinic at 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Contact your doctor if an erection lasts more than 4 hours. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I want to talk to you about my friends at Quration CBD. You hear me talk about them every single day because they present Darren, Donick, and Jason. We are proud to be associated with them and happy about it. And if you have aches and pains, on your body, whether it's from working out, being active, getting older, and you're looking for a solution, well, I've got it. Creation CBD. Creation means healing, and that says a lot. Creation is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here in Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Creation is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use, including your pets. And you've heard me tell this story. Our female German Shepherd has had seizures for over 3 years, and lots of them. No matter how many pills a day she was on, the vet visits, nothing changed. But since putting her on the pet tincture, everything has changed. The seizures have stopped. She's lost weight, and she's a dog again. Right now, Creation CBD has got a special offer for DDC listeners. Go to CreationCompany.com. Get 25% off your order by using the code DDC25 at checkout. DDC25 at checkout for 25% off your Creation CBD products. It's Creation CBD, curated for life.
Tonight, alley-oop slam down. Leonard again gets this section up on their feet.
The Blue Raiders hit the road to take on Marshall. Coverage begins at 5:30
on ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Smashville, this is Sean Henry. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Here's what I have to say about anybody who's questioning Tannehill is years past, even this year, him having the confidence to throw it into situations and it's worked out before and you guys all that he was the greatest. Just because it didn't work out doesn't mean he's any different, dude. He's a stud. And with the boys ride or die with Tanny, he has literally revived the Tennessee Titans along with the new defense.
He's he's a awesome dude too. I just hated it for him how all that went down, and I just know he probably puts a lot of that. Like every competitor does, you just put a lot of blame on yourself, and he knows that it's everybody knows that it's not one single player, one single game, or one single play. But you just know dudes they wake up and think about that. I would have done this, I would have done that. If I would have made this tackle, or if I would have made this play during the game, it would have went a different direction.
There you go. Taylor Lewan and Will Compton bussing with the boys. They stand up for Tannehill. Taylor Lewan, hey, he made the Titans relevant. By the way, what if somebody asked Taylor Lewan, hey, Taylor, the Titans are going to get Russell Wilson? Then how would Taylor feel?
Oh, we welcome him with open arms. We're really excited about bringing Russell in here. We're ready to go win a Super Bowl with him.
Do you think all these guys, the guys that have been vocally supportive of Ryan Tannehill, Lewan, A.J. Brown, Henry, that if they found out, if Adam Schefter tweets out, this just filed to ESPN, the Tennessee Titans are trading Ryan Tannehill, Kevin Byard, and a first-round pick in 2023 and a first-round pick in 2024 or 22 and 23 to the Seattle Seahawks for Russell Wilson. Do you think that, and maybe you don't even need to include Byard, but let's just say that, and Wilson's agreed to waive his no-trade clause, do you think Henry and those guys would be like, darn, we thought Tannehill was our guy, or do you think they'd be like, yes, yes?
I think they'd be excited. I'm sure there's a certain personal relationship element there that they'll be a little bummed on the inside, but I think overall they'll be like, okay, we're pumped for the future. We're pumped to bring a bona fide quarterback and a bona fide competitor into this team. I think they'd be pumped about it.
So just to reset this, again, Russell has a no-trade clause, so he determines where he goes just as much as the Seahawks do. 2, the Seahawks have tons of cap space and a bunch of free agents, and Russell's not probably going to want to go back on that offense. 3, they have no draft picks, so they need draft picks. 4, Tannehill is probably better than any quarterback that they could get to replace Russell if they have to trade Russell. Did I leave anything out?
I think that's fair. And they also have the cap space, if you didn't mention that.
Yes.
They have the cap
and
space
that means that it is possible.
Yes.
Now, Keyshawn Johnson, yesterday morning on ESPN, we did not get to this yesterday, but Keyshawn Johnson was asked which team, or I guess just decided to tell Kimberly Martin, which team he thinks is the best fit for Aaron Rodgers. Here's what Keyshawn said.
Tennessee Titans. Think about it. You got 2 awesome running backs. You got a receiver that's in his, getting ready to hit his prime. You have another receiver that's still solid. You got another smaller receiver that's good. You got a decent tight end, a front 7 that's stout. And you got a player-friendly head coach that understands how to win championships O-line. Because he's done it. The offensive line is solid. I can give you Ryan Tannehill and whatever picks you need. You want 22, 23, 24. and you can have Ryan Tannehill. He becomes your Alex Smith. And I can have Aaron Rodgers in return. I can now convince Aaron Rodgers that he is the top all-time quarterback in the history of the Tennessee Titans, or even the Houston Oilers for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that one? Hey, look, in a bad division.
I'm just saying, I just think that the Titan fans that have heard from people like Joe Rexrode that are saying, no way, no how can the Titans upgrade at quarterback, I think there's a chance. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, unless you got a thought, Caroline.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that would be another attractive thing for Russell Wilson is leaving the NFC East. I mean, the AFC South is a much...
You mean the West?
I'm sorry, West, yes. The AFC South is a much easier division where it stands right now. I mean, I'm sure Trevor Lawrence and the Jags will develop, but I mean, the NFC West is a tough quarterback division. So that's another attractive element for Russell Wilson there. But let's go to the phones.
I love it. And plus, like, I know Pete Carroll, not really well, but I know him well enough. I think he'd like Tannehill.
Close personal friend Pete?
I mean, look, no. But I would say that I would say if you ask Pete Carroll, do you like Jared Stillman, he'd say yes. That's all I got for you.
There you go.
John is going to kick us off. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Go ahead, John.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for taking my call, as always. Been listening to the show, a long-time listener. Been wanting to call in since Monday, have not done so. I'm still scarred. I wanted to call in about we as fans and even some of the players have to take emotion out of these decisions. Yes, we love Tannehill. Yes, he is one of the toughest quarterbacks in the league. I guarantee you the next guy that comes in here and can win you Saturday's game, we're going to love him just as much. According to Pierre's proposition, what we have to mortgage, first-round picks, we can't be emotionally tied to these picks either. There's no guarantee that the picks are going to pan out. We just have to hope that the current picks we've made and selected materialize and pay dividends. Caleb Farley can't miss another season. Isaiah Wilson, of course, we don't even have to talk about. All these other guys that John Robinson has brought in have to materialize. If it mortgages the future, if it costs you that to win a Super Bowl, you don't hear Tampa Bay complaining. You didn't hear Kansas City complaining. It's worth the move to do it. I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, John. I believe that there's no way you could watch that game on Saturday and not think that the Titans have no chance of getting to the Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill as the quarterback. Now, I know some people blame Derrick Henry or whatever the text line was doing yesterday.
Todd Downing.
You know what's crazy? I have heard so many people complain about the offensive coordinator. You realize the guy that just got hired in Denver was Blake Bortles' offensive coordinator and was also Aaron Rodgers' offensive coordinator? Like, think about that. Everybody hated Blake Bortles. He was Blake Bortles' offensive coordinator. He's Aaron Rodgers' coordinator. Now he's the head coach of the Denver Broncos. Amazing how that works, right?
Won an AFC championship with the Jags.
Got to an AFC championship game.
Got to an AFC championship game, yes.
Right, and the reason, because they had a great defense. Bortles was awful. I mean, no, look, I'll take Russell Wilson. You fire the coordinator and run it back with Tannehill. I'll take Russell Wilson. Plus, the Titans are not firing the coordinator. For everybody out there that wants to think, like, are they going to fire the coordinator? What are they going to do? They're not firing the coordinator, folks.
I just don't understand how Mike Vrabel can stand up there and just give his stamp of approval for Todd Downing so vehemently when he saw what happened on Saturday. How can you not be at least open and willing to a change? How can you endorse him so much after a loss like that? And not even just leave open an opportunity or the possibility for an opportunity for a new offensive coordinator.
Well, did you see all the coaches that got fired?
I did.
So you had Jim Haslett, defensive linebacker coach.
Mm-hmm.
You had the assistant defensive line coach, which is crazy because I thought the defensive line, whatever. So they fired the assistant defensive line coach, the assistant special teams coach, and the assistant strength coach. So we can complain and cry about the offensive coaching all we want. Vrabel didn't fire one offensive coach. Think about that. He didn't fire one offensive coach. So Vrabel's clearly telling you that the offensive coaching is not the problem with this team. Now, I'm not telling you that that's the case, but I'm telling you that's what Vrabel's saying, which makes me even think more that he thinks Tannehill's the problem. We're back to your phone, 615-737-1025, which is our phone number, 615-737-1025. So we already got to the possibility for Russell. Then we got to Rodgers. Now Brady, because there's a thought on that next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobis. Today a little bit warmer than the past few days. High temperatures in the mid to upper 40s. Overnight temperatures down to 30 degrees, partly cloudy throughout the day into tonight. Your Friday brings us back to the 30s and also the chance for a few isolated snow showers.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Prices are rising on essential equipment for your home. Manufacturer prices have already gone up on most equipment, but Hiller is honoring our 2021 pricing through January. This year, we're expecting extremely limited supply and major price increases on HVAC systems, home generators, and tankless water heaters. Take advantage of our lowest prices now. Visit happyhiller.com today.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, what's going on? It's Chase McCabe, and fellas, it is time for us to talk about something, and it's awkward sometimes. Do you need a little extra confidence, when it's that time? Well, let me tell you about BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but it's in a chewable formula, and it's a fraction of the cost. That is not a bad thing. Blue Chew tablets combat all forms of ED and can help men gain extra confidence when it's time to perform. It's an online prescription service, too, so what that means, no awkward conversations with the doctor. You just consult online with one of their medical professionals, and once you're approved, you'll have your prescription in days in discreet packaging. And guys, here's a special deal for you. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code CHASE at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code CHASE, to receive your first month free.
One of the smartest things you can do for the new year is convert some of your home's equity into cash. You can do it right now with a zero-cost cash-out refi from Loan Pronto. Willie here. Call Loan Pronto now. They can fast-track your home refi and get you a check for 50, 60, 70 grand or more. And if you call now, Loan Pronto can even pay your closing costs. Listen, your home value is way up. Use it to your advantage. Get cash out now. Pay off those credit card debts. Consolidate other debts. Start that home improvement project and get your finances in great shape for 2022. Loan Pronto's refis usually close in just 2 weeks, and the process is easy. It's all digital. Call Loan Pronto now. Put that equity in your home to work towards financial freedom for the new year. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
One win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Stillman and Company is on. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company, we're delivered by TriStar Moving. Again, we are going over the big quarterback markets. The big Aaron Rodgers. Denver just hired a head coach to try to lure Aaron Rodgers. And even though Adam Schefter says that's not the case, that is, in fact, the case. Russell Wilson, Seattle, looks like it could line up well for the Titans. What about Brady? Remember, Brady, all the stuff came out this week about Brady hinting at retirement. He said on his podcast, I got to think about my family. I have to put my family first. So I was listening to Boston Sports Radio, 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston. I love that show, Felger and Maz. And they brought up the idea that Brady could be looking to get himself out of Tampa Bay, here's what they said.
I sent you guys a clip, too, from the end of December when he was still here from Bleacher Report. Powerful answer from Tom Brady on the sacrifices older players make. Kids, family, life things you can't get back. It's like he's following a script. It's the same thing from the end of 2019 when he was sick of being here.
And I'll tell you, too, the whole wife thing, I'm starting to think she says to him, use me as an excuse. Keep making the money. I mean, she's a business person.
Yeah, right.
So I wonder if God use me as the excuse. Get out of Tampa, find yourself a better location with a better team and more money so you can win.
Now, that's what I want, though, the one-year mercenary. Go to San Fran next year, maybe Miami, maybe Tennessee. Oh, yes. Tell me whose gear I buy next. That's what I want.
It's not. Is it crazy, Caroline?
No, I don't think it's crazy. And, we were talking about Brady potentially retiring because that's what it sounded like. But they do make a very good point in that we thought Brady was going to retire 2 years ago. And then he ended up in Tampa Bay. So I don't think it's crazy, especially considering Brady and the Titans were flirting when he first left New England. I don't think it's crazy to think about. And especially if money is a motivating factor, being in a state with no income tax.
We don't know what the flirt level was with the Titans. It doesn't seem like they reciprocated. But times are different. And on top of it, I saw a graphic on ESPN this morning on Get Up, and it had all the free agents that the Bucks have this year. They're not running that thing back. Like, this was a 2-year thing, and they didn't win it this year. They're not running it back. There's no way they can run it back. Let's get to your phones before TD at 3 o'clock, 615-737-1025, which is our phone number. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. What do we have, Caroline?
Max in West Nashville texts in and says, do we really want someone with the attitude of Aaron Rodgers on our team? I think it's better for someone with a better attitude, even if they aren't as good. I disagree.
No.
I disagree.
I mean, I'm at the point right now with the Titans where everybody short of Antonio Brown is on the list. Like that, I feel good about the Titans' defensive line. I think they're going to have to figure out linebacker for a couple different reasons. I think they'll probably just need to add bodies in the secondary. Nobody very good, just, the Buster Screens of the world, because if you got a good pass rush, it doesn't matter what you have in the back end. I mean, they got enough good guys on the team. Rodgers is a total diva. I get it. But guess what? You're not going to win with Ryan Tannehill. So there's your answer.
I also do wonder how that chemistry would work with Mike Vrabel. A diva quarterback with Mike Vrabel, a guy who claims to be so team first, a guy who claims to be so, no front runner mentality. I wonder if Aaron Rodgers and Mike Vrabel would butt heads.
I think Mike Vrabel's won championships before. I am starting to convince myself that Vrabel, like his thing about Tannehill, the excellent leadership or whatever, what was it, toughness, extreme toughness, or elite toughness?
Elite toughness.
That was just like saying nice things about Tannehill. If he's not going to fire a single coach off the coaching staff, the offensive coaching staff, he's telling you it's not coaching. So last year when he didn't fire Shane Bowen, he was telling us that it wasn't coaching, it was the players. And then they went out and got Danico Autry and Bud Dupree, and we realized, it was the players. I think there may be something here. And again, I don't care about the Rodgers. Like, Rodgers is a diva. I don't like Rodgers. I mean, I'm friends with the other two brothers, so that tells you how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. But I still know you can't win with Ryan Tannehill, and I think you can't win with Aaron Rodgers. What's next?
Another texter texts into the text line and says, Russell Wilson is the same quarterback as he was the last couple of games. He has shown his age, and the Titans are stuck with Ryan Tannehill for at least another year.
Okay, are we buying the idea that Russell Wilson is washed up?
I am not buying that, but I am. One area of concern is the injuries. I mean, he missed a few games this past year with a finger injury. He's only getting older.
I wouldn't necessarily say washed up.
I wouldn't say washed
but
up.
But I do think that he could be a little bit diminished.
Age concerns are definitely there, but not washed up and maybe slightly past his prime.
Is Russell going to the Hall of Fame?
That's a good question. Right now, I would say probably not.
Okay. So I think Russell's right there on the fringe, right? Like, Eli's going to get in, and Eli has 2 Super Bowls, and Russell has 1, but I think Russell's a much better player than Eli ever was. I think Russell's right on the fringe of the Hall of Fame. I would agree that it's definitely a risk with Russell at his age and the finger injury and everything else.
Tannehill's a risk too. Aaron
Well,
Rodgers
that's the
would be a
difference.
risk.
I know what the answer is with Tannehill.
That's the thing.
Like, I know what it is with Tannehill. I look at this like when the Broncos went out and got Peyton Manning. They had a team that got to the divisional round of the playoffs. They were 8-8 with Tim Tebow at quarterback, and they beat the Steelers in overtime. And, like, everybody wanted them to commit to Tebow. I even looked it up this morning. Everybody wanted them to commit to Tebow when they were winning all these games. And Demaryius Thomas was like, hey, we're 7-1 with him as a starter. He should be our quarterback. And Elway and Fox would just not commit to Tebow, no matter what. Then they went out and got Peyton Manning. But it was no sure thing with Peyton because Peyton had the neck surgeries and he was older and everything else. And so it was absolutely no sure thing with Manning. And he turned Denver into a Super Bowl contender for 4 years. And I would take that. If you told me Denver's been, average to below average for the last 6 years, if you told me I got 4 good years, 2 Super Bowls, 1 championship with Russell Wilson, and then it all falls off the table, I would take it. And I'm not saying he's Peyton, and I'm not saying he's going to be Peyton. But I'm saying you have to take the risk that they took with Peyton to improve at the position. What's next?
I mean, any change that you make is going to be a risk. But our good friend Indy Batten texts in and says, why would an elite-level quarterback want to come to a team that is run-heavy with a questionable offensive coordinator? By the way, Jonathan Taylor is the best running back in the league going forward.
So, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Like, Taylor had a good year. Taylor had a good 1,700-yard year.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Derrick Henry had 2,000 yards in 1 less game last year. We'll see. Maybe Taylor's the best runner.
Jonathan Taylor's a great running back. Absolutely.
I'm not throwing Taylor under the bus here.
Yeah.
I do believe that having a team that runs the football, whether it's Foreman or Henry, and I think it obviously will be Henry, but I think that would probably be something Russell Wilson would want. At his age, think about how much Russell's gotten hit over the years. But when were Russell's teams at their best? When he had Marshawn Lynch. So you don't think Russell, who's had a revolving door of running backs, whether it's Robert Turbin or Alex Collins or Rashad Penny or all these other guys they've had, you don't think Russell Wilson would want to play with Derrick Henry? I think Russell Wilson would want to play with Derrick Henry.
I don't know of many football players that wouldn't want to play with Derrick Henry.
Like, I don't think it is local homerish to say that I think another player would look at the Titans, like another quarterback would look at the Titans and think, I'd like to play there.
I mean, it's a good defense. It's a good coach. It's a good running back. You got a good receiver.
Right.
I mean, it's an attractive team. No state income tax. It's an attractive team.
You were the number one seed in the AFC. You were the number one team in the AFC with Poopy Pants at quarterback. So then you go out there and you get what we're saying, a fringe Hall of Famer in Russell Wilson. I mean, I got to tell, I think if you're Russell, the pitch, if A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry, those are the two guys that have to pitch Russell. And Julio Jones would have to be a part of this too, even though this may be the best thing Julio Jones does for the Titans. But if they were to pitch Russell on coming to the Titans, and Russell wanted to do it and told Seattle, I want to go to Tennessee, and I'm only accepting a trade to Tennessee, and the Titans were to do 2 first-rounders in exchange for Russell and Tannehill, I think everybody would eventually say yes.
It's not a
but
bad
thing. The key is getting Russell to want to come here. I'm with you guys about how I'm there with you guys about how, I think it's probably like the Brady thing's probably a little crazy. The Rodgers thing is probably not likely to happen. But Russell, I think it's, if you can get Russell, he's got a no trade clause. So he gets to pick where he goes. You got to get Russell on your side. Just like how Deshaun Watson wanted to go to Miami. Carolina was willing to move the heaven and earth to get Deshaun Watson. He didn't want to go to Carolina. So they didn't even have that discussion. So if they can get Russell on board with the Titans, and Vrabel can't do it because that's tampering, but Derrick Henry and AJ and Julio, if those guys could get Russell to want to come to the Titans, They have the cap space to take on the Tannehill deal. They need the draft picks, which you would give up to get Russell, and then they would need a quarterback so they could use Tannehill. I like that idea. TD will join us next. We'll get his thoughts on the fallout of the week of the Titans. What did he make of what they said on Monday? What has he made of all of this? Tannehill's performance. TD had a great article at ESPN saying that the Titans may have reached their ceiling with Ryan Tannehill. We'll get TD's thoughts on that. That's next, the TD Power Hour. Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
If I'm the official, I would send both teams to the locker room and say, this is going to stop.
The voice of the fan.
Our entire team's a mash unit right now.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen. Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
Do you really want to go through another year with that awful joint pain? Well, don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Willie Donick here. It's time to call the folks at QC Kinetics. Non-surgical regenerative treatments for joint pain. We're talking lasting results using natural biologics. No surgery, no pain meds, no steroids, and no downtime. This is really exciting stuff. Regenerative, restorative treatments that actually encourage your body to heal itself using highly concentrated natural biologics. Patients rave about it for hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief. Don't let them give you the steroids. Don't let them tell you your surgery is the only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics and do it now. And imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Hey everybody, Robbie Stanley here to tell you about my friends at Jasper's. Jasper's is a casual restaurant and bar located on West End Avenue, equipped with TVs, a game room available for private events, a grab-and-go market, and free parking. Yes, free parking. This neighborhood spot is Nashville's new go-to restaurant and bar. You can try their selection of elevated bar food ranging from appetizers to chicken sandwiches to flatbread pizzas and the famous Smash Burger, as well as any of their delicious cocktails. So visit my friends at Jasper's, located at 1918 West End Avenue, and tell them that Robbie sent you.
Want a deal you'll love on a Valentine's Day gift they'll love? Shop and save right now at Kohl's. Get 20% off Food Network bakeware, up to 50% off festive pillows and decor, and sterling silver diamond pendants for just $69.99. On top of all that, you can get an extra 15% off and earn Kohl's Cash. What are you waiting for? Get to Kohl's and celebrate the special moments for less. Select styles, 15% offer ends January 30th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, with Darren, Donick, and Chase middays from 10 to 2.
Talk amongst themselves. It's not a star-studded group. They're not all there.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, streaming live Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. TD is in the house. The Teron Davenport Power Hour is presented by FreedomTireGuys.com and Craneworks and RentalWorks. FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company. Online at FreedomTireGuys.com. Craneworks and RentalWorks, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit Craneworks.com. TD, excellent piece at ESPN.com on Monday about the Titans and where they are kind of with their situation with Ryan Tannehill. So just open it up, your thoughts on the Bengals loss and the Tannehill situation going forward.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, Jared. I knew you would like that. You know, Benazold was critical of number 17, and that is something that definitely had to happen because let's face the facts. That game that he had was atrocious, and it was a big part of why the Titans are not hosting the AFC Championship game this week. So when you look at that Bengals game, you know, for me, it just started right from the jump. And I mean, you were in the building. You felt the energy, the excitement. They mentioned Derrick Henry's name, and he came running out, and he was as pumped as I've ever seen him. And everybody in the stadium was as excited as that stadium has been since I've been covering the team. And what happens? It's like a big pin is stuck into a balloon, and it pops, and all the air is let out, and that's what that interception was. And I think just that game was just kind of a microcosm of the things that have gone wrong for them in the playoffs. And it's just, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, starting with Ryan Tannehill, you know, obviously there were questions about, you know, things being too predictable as far as formations and play calls. And it was a squandered opportunity. And it's not to say that the playmakers weren't there. I mean, Julio Jones, he showed up somewhat. A.J. Brown, absolutely. I mean, we talked last week at this time about A.J. being a guy that would come up with a big-time play in big-time games, and he came up with multiple. That one-handed catch was really good. And when you flip it to the defensive side, I mean, as a defensive player, you have to ask yourself, like, what more do we have to do? And that's why I respect Jeffrey Simmons so much because, I mean, this guy had 3 sacks, should have been 4. One was taken away due to the delay of game. But then he said, well, we got to turn the football over. Like, we got to generate turnovers. And it's just, truth be told, that defense could not have done that much of a better job. They got the turnover. They got 9 sacks. They held Joe Burrow to without a single touchdown pass. They held a team that was averaging 26, 27 points per game to 19 points. I mean, what more can you ask? And they did that all within 3 turnovers being ball being turned over 3 times by your offense.
Okay, so put yourself in John Robinson's shoes, like, and you're the GM, you're TD the GM, and you watch that game. What is your conclusion on what you almost have to find a way to do at the quarterback position, or maybe what you may be willing to do that you weren't willing to do before Saturday?
Well, I think you have to have an honest talk with yourself and say, listen, I can't rely on this guy to make everyone else better. I can't rely on this guy to not turn the football over, to manage the game in the playoffs. And I think that's the whole thing. And this goes back to something that I've said before when I called Ryan Tannehill a game manager. And I said it's okay to be a game manager. It's all right. You know, Tom Brady, your favorite player of all time, was a game manager when he initially started winning Super Bowls. So it's okay. But a part of being a game manager is not turning the football over. And I mean, let's face the facts. In 2 losses over the last couple of years, there have been 4 interceptions. And I'm not going to put the blame on anyone except for him. And we could explain the first interception, how Julio Jones should have worked his way back to the ball, and how there should have been something, a route backside to kind of put the safety in a bind and make him have a decision. But the fact of the matter is, as a quarterback, you have to see that safety coming down and not throw that football as late as it was thrown. And granted, again, Julio Jones should have worked back. But I say all that to say that it is really evident that this team has hit their ceiling with Tannehill as the quarterback, unless they find a way to get premier playmakers at every single offensive position. And that's just not possible. So, I mean, I think it's time to take a look at other options.
I think the thing, too, that gets me is going back to the Vrabel quote when he said they need to be great around him. Like, no team is perfect in a salary cap era, TD. I think the Titans have they got 9 sacks. They've got maybe the best running back in football. A.J. Brown has taken the next step as an elite receiver in the NFL. They got an all-pro safety. I mean, I think that they probably are great already around him, and it still wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I say they're really good all around them. You know, you could get a little more production out of the tight end position, but I mean, this goes back to what I said about, you have to, and especially at that number, right? If you're a $38 million quarterback, I mean, daggone, like everything it shouldn't have to have everything perfect around you, you know, and that's unfortunately the situation that this Titans team is in right now, where they literally have to have everything perfect. And I mean, it was close to perfect in that game until that second interception. I think that was really the one that really messed things up. And then obviously the third one. So it's just like, all right, how can I put this roster together to overcome the inequities at quarterback? Or
what'd you make of? Oh, sorry about that, TD.
No, or can I find someone else who could do what this guy hasn't been able to do?
And I wondered, like with Downing, and I'm not qualified enough to be able to judge a play caller because there are so many things that go into judging a play caller and what was the play supposed to be and what did they do. And I mean, I think sometimes we get caught up in, oh, this guy's got a great offense. And, well, he's got great offensive players. It's hard for me to look at it that way. I thought Downing was probably going to get the axe, you know, kind of as like the sacrificial lamb for the disappointing game and disappointing offense this year. But Vrabel came out and was really strong in support of Todd Downing, which means he's not going anywhere. There's no other offensive coaches so far that are leaving the staff. What do we make of that? The fact that the Titan fans kind of wanted blood in the coaching staff, and Vrabel is saying no to that. And it's almost like I think Vrabel's kind of circling the quarterback more so than the coaching.
Well, yeah, you always have to have somebody has to take the blame, right? There has to be a reason why, and especially a loss like this that is so confusing. I mean, I legitimately was sitting there just like, how do you lose this game? You know what I mean? How do you squander this opportunity? So, of course, you know, someone has to take the blame. And I mean, look, the play calling, and this is the thing that's always interesting about play calling is you really never know who's the first read, right? So you could say, hey, man, like Todd Downing's not putting together enough plays to get Julio Jones the football. But then you look at the play and like, you know, the progression and how everything is set up. And it's like, wait a minute. Ryan Tannehill was supposed to throw to Julio Jones on this play, but he ended up going here. So then it's like, okay, why did that happen? So I think, you know, saying an offensive coordinator should be fired it's a tough thing to do because, I mean, yeah, he calls the plays, but the quarterback has to execute it. And that's where I understand what Coach Vrabel was saying. And, you know, Coach Downing has actually told me this when I asked him in one of his press conferences, you know, about getting the ball to guys like Julio Jones, like A.J. Brown. Sometimes he makes the calls, but it just doesn't find a way to get to him. And I think that's where you know, they got to get better is executing.
What did you think as far as kind of the way that Tannehill, like the Titans gave him every opportunity on Saturday night, and it still wasn't good enough? Like, how did you feel that may have locked in or affected his future?
I think it affected it greatly. You know, this 2022 season is going to be interesting because obviously there's all types of gymnastics that they have to go through to get rid of them, right? Financially, if they want to, you know, be able to do that. So that's going to be interesting. But I am pretty much positive that after the 2022 season, you know, you're not going to see Tannehill as the quarterback, but it's just that window is closing. So, you know, I just want to see how that impacts the whole work around him, you know, how they're going to, because I don't really think that it's feasible to get rid of him and bring somebody else in. I mean, unless it's like a Russell Wilson, right? Unless it's an Aaron Rodgers, unless it's a Deshaun Watson. We know those are three options that are slim to none, you know, and then I actually started my look at like a closer look, all 22 look at these quarterbacks. And, you know, I watched Kenny Pickett today. And just in general observations of the other guys along with Pickett throughout the year, you know, Desmond Ridder would be a pretty nice fit to come in and just kind of develop. But You know, this team isn't built to have somebody develop. So they're in kind of a catch-22 where they need change at quarterback in order to get to the Super Bowl, but the change isn't really out there immediately.
So I have a thought on that I want to get to next on the Titans, because if we know anything about the Titans, it's that they will kind of sometimes surprise you some way or another. With some things that I found, Brady Henderson, who covers the Seahawks, some interesting nuggets. I want to get your thoughts on that next. And
okay,
does it feel like the Titans are going to try to run it back next year? We'll get TD's thoughts on that. The TD Power Hour is presented by FreedomTireGuys.com and Craneworks and RentalWorks. TD's with us, Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jarrett Stillman and Company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 102.5 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood. Give local. Give life.
The Lowe's Just for Pros event is back. Get savings on the top tools, plus bonus perks to help with your business. Lowe's, the new home for pros. Valid 117 to 128 U.S. only.
Victory Award-winning New Amsterdam Vodka knows all about it, but in life, it's not always so clear. So New Amsterdam Vodka believes that in life, you've got to find your own wins. You've got to overcome your fears, go all in, even when you've got nothing at all. Find your wins. And when you do, raise that glass of New Amsterdam Vodka in victory. You've earned it. New Amsterdam Spirits Company, Modesto, California.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a ½ carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. We've brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, and pendants. We have the styles and looks on every woman's wish list, things you can't find anywhere else. And for 2022, Genesis is now offering a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular styles in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2022 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Robbie Stanley.
Sometimes the overthinking that takes place, pretty mind-boggling.
Joe Rexrode.
Thought there was an issue. There's not an issue. There's no issue. They're doing wonderful.
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday morning from 6 to 10.
Taking care of business this early in the morning.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I do not want to deprive people of a close-up of my face.
Watch live on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope.
You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, but when we just come out and say it, it feels like it falls a bit flat. So we're going to sing it.
We're singing words now.
We'll even sing the business part.
Save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive.
Now that's a commercial you'll remember, even if you don't remember the bundle and save with Progressive part.
We're singing that commercial.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
This is the end of the jingle. A jingle about insurance.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Ryan Tannehill will find a way to mess it up. He's just, I can't. He's just not that dude. He's just not that dude. He's just, I don't get. Oh, he makes me sick. Okay, because Derrick Henry comes back, doesn't look too bad. Okay. Deontay Foreman. He's running that ball. And what did Vrabel do to mess up? You call a play where you stop running the ball and you get Ryan Tannehill to try to throw a little screen. The dude right in front of you, you don't think he's going to tip the damn ball? And this is Ryan Tannehill. This is who he is. This is who he is, okay? And the thing that really ticks me off, is that everything else was flowing for them but this guy. And the first play, who does this? You're on your home turf. The crowd is hype. Everybody, the tailgate parties, everything hype. The first play of the game, the guy throws an interception. The first play. You didn't even have a chance to pass gas. The dude threw an interception. I I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then go show up in this press conference. You know, we were looking forward. There's no way I thought that we would be. Why? You threw 2 interceptions prior to that. Before you threw the last one, you should have assumed it, damn it. I mean, it's Ryan Tannehill. And if Tennessee is ever going to do something, they got to get. Then listen, he's no scrub, but he ain't that dude, especially in the AFC with all the quarterbacks we talk about. Yeah. Ryan Tannehill ain't that dude. You better get another quarterback if you want to get over the hump.
There you go, Stephen A. Smith on First Take. TD, that was an all-timer from Stephen A. as far as the Titans are concerned. TD with us, TD Power Hour presented by Freedom Tire Guys and Crane Works and Rental Works. So I was reading your colleague, Brady Henderson, TD, and he was writing up the Seattle Seahawks. And obviously he covers the Seattle Seahawks like you cover the Titans, and brought up kind of the Russell Wilson situation. And Russell has said that he's willing to go back, and Pete Carroll says he doesn't know if Russell will be back, but he went over the fact in a really well-done piece at ESPN.com that Russell Wilson is going to lose 3 offensive linemen, left tackle Dwayne Brown, right tackle Brandon Shell, and center Ethan Posich are all scheduled to be free agents. They're also running back Rashad Penny is a free agent, as are the tight ends Gerald Everett and Will Dissly. Now, we know that he's got the good receivers out there. Also, the Seahawks are going to have around $40 million of cap space after you factor in Russell's $24 million, so it could be as much as $64 million, and they would have the resources to be able to take on Tannehill. Russell's got a no-trade clause. So instead of Seattle going to the market saying, okay, who wants Russell Wilson, and every team that doesn't have a quarterback like Washington or Philadelphia or everybody else coming out and saying, hey, we need, whatever, Russell could say, I want to go to Tennessee. While I know a lot of things have to line up, it does seem like a team with no draft capital because they spent it on Jamal Adams. The Titans could offer 2 first-round picks. Seattle's got the cap space to take on Tannehill. Is it possible if a Russell wants to come here that they could make a deal work out for Russell Wilson?
Oh, there's always a way to make the deal work out. And it's interesting you mentioned Russell Wilson because his deal this past season was very similar to how Tannehill is going to be set up for this upcoming season as far as having that super high dead cap number and then also having a actual high cap number as it is. Now, he's going to be, I believe it's $37 million. And Tannehill will be $38.5 million or $38.4. So one of the things that the Titans could do is be willing to take on some of that salary, much similar to how the Dolphins did. Now, granted, the Dolphins did it. There was an extension and reworking the deal, and they took on $5 million of the $7 million that he ended up getting that season. But, I mean, those are the type of things that you could do in order to facilitate that trade. And the thing is, if the Seahawks were to do that, they could, just like the Titans will likely do if Tannehill is there after 2022, get out of the deal, and I think it's like $18 million that you have in accelerated a cap hit, a dead cap hit. So, yeah, I can see them making that work. And in essence, the Seattle will be paying, $18 million or so for a couple of first round draft picks.
Yeah. And not only that too, like who on the market for Seattle would be a better quarterback than Tannehill, for next year? Because I mean, we've looked at the quarterback market of the Jameis Winstons and the, it's just the Tyrod Taylor and Ryan Fitzpatrick. The other thing, too, that would be – here's another interesting caveat, TD, for the Titans. It would be more advantageous for them to wait till June 1st and trade Tannehill as far as their cap is concerned. And for Seattle, it would be more advantageous to get a Russell deal done before March 20th because he's due a $5 million roster bonus. Right. So what if you use those 2 first-round picks? And, again, the key to this is Russell wanting to do it. You use the first-round pick to trade for Russell Wilson. Then you use the second first-round pick in a deal after June 1st. So even though it's really one transaction, you tie it into 2 separate transactions. Russell before March 20th, Tannehill after June 1st to make the caps easier for both sides. Am I talking crazy now?
No, I mean, what you're doing is finding ways to get out of a very desperate situation. And I like that idea. I didn't even look at it that way, but I mean, yeah, I mean, that's something that you could do, especially knowing, like you said, how the numbers are all set up. So it's an option. It's an option. But, at the same time, you got to look at this past year and how Russell Wilson was with Seattle. And you got to make sure. And I believe for sure that he could come in here and really turn this thing up to another notch, and you can win a Super Bowl with Russell Wilson as the quarterback with that roster as it is currently. So that's a decision that they're going to have to make sure of.
How attractive do you think this team would be to Russell? I mean, he tweeted out that he was watching the game Saturday. I mean, remember what he did with Marshawn Lynch as his running back. Derrick Henry, no disrespect to the beast, might actually be better than Marshawn Lynch. And the defense got 9 sacks Saturday. I think it's a very attractive place for a guy like Russell Wilson at this point in his career.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an attractive destination for him because it's a win now team. And that's really, it all lines up perfectly. And obviously, you remember the whole let Russ cook campaign where they wanted him to throw the football more. And I think when called upon, he's capable of doing that. But he will be in an excellent situation here to where he could play within the scheme, make a few plays. A lot of the things that they do as far as zone and play action and moving the pocket and getting the quarterback, on the run, it works perfectly with his skill set.
How much, though, do you think it's likely that the Titans in 2022 are running it back with the same crew? For the most part, there will obviously be changes. But how likely do you think it is in reality that they're going to run it back with the same group, same coordinator, same quarterback coach, same almost everything?
Yeah, honestly, I think that's the direction that it's going to go. And it's unfortunate because, this team, they're reaching their peak, but I think that's the direction. Like I said, unless something crazy is able to happen. But more than likely, Tannehill is going to be the quarterback. And I would just think that they're going to work to improve the roster around him and take one last shot at it.
I wonder what the backup quarterback situation might be next year, because I do think that they would never have pulled him out of that game on Saturday. If something similar happens next year, I think they'll take him out of the game. And you want to have a guy who's probably a little bit more seasoned than Logan Woodside behind Tannehill if you're going to do that, similar to what Tannehill was to Mariota.
Well, if you look at that, you better have a guy that you feel that you could win the next game with. You know what I mean? Because, it would be tough for a team to take their quarterback out in that situation and him to lead them on a win in that situation against a team that didn't really get to prepare for him. And then, expect that quarterback to go back in the following week. So that's something that, you better have an adequate, that's a situation where you better, like Jameis Winston or somebody like that, who has been a starter before, that you feel like you could trust to win a game for you, And that's a tough situation to look at, because when you bench a quarterback in a playoff game, that's not just a one game type of a decision.
No, that was the Sean McVay last year when he was like, "No, we're starting John Wolford." It was like,
yeah.
What?
It was over.
Yeah, it's like, hold on, you're doing what? You're starting John Wolford at Seattle against Russell Wilson. Yes. Okay. All right. Whatever you want to do there, Sean McVay. But hey, it ended up working out for them. The one thing that I do think about the Titans is, does it not feel like they may be a little bit more empowered to be bold with dealing picks to go, let's use Russell as the example here, but I think Rodgers, it looks like Denver is trying to line up all the chips to go after Rodgers. But
yeah,
would it not feel like you're more empowered to do this because of the success the Rams had doing it?
Well, I mean, I don't know about it feeling empowered, because all situations are different, right? And this situation, it just started working out for the Rams with Stafford and everything. Because, I mean, you remember the Rams-Titans game. It was like, oh, that was a terrible decision, to go get him. So I think each situation in itself is isolated. And seeing that success, I don't think that that's going to push John Robinson or anybody there to say, okay, well, we could go out and do it, because again, they understand that each situation is different.
I do wonder what they think internally, and they will never tell us. You know, like that's the thing that I really wonder about. I mean, this is a franchise, and granted, Amy Adams Strunk is not her father. This is a franchise that moved on from Warren Moon for Cody Carlson after a playoff loss. So, you know, I mean, I do wonder what they think internally. TD is with us. The Titan players have come out strong in defense of Ryan Tannehill, but our former Titan player, not as strong. I want TD's thoughts on that, and we'll do that coming up next. Get your Titans questions in for TD as well. 615-737-1025 is the text line. If you got a thought for TD, get it in there, 615-737-1025. TD is presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, online at FreedomTireGuys.com. TriStar Moving, my official movers and the presenting sponsor of Stillman & Company. I moved with TriStar over a year ago, and it was a fantastic experience. They made the entire process so simple, and that's why their motto is TriStar Movers, with 5-star service. From the initial phone call to the final signature, moving was a breeze. They've got a state-of-the-art storage facility in Mount Juliet as well. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, are true Nashvillians, and they want to help their hometown. This company is the real deal and on the rise quickly because of the standard that they hold. So if you're looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website, nashvillemoving.org/radio, where they'll give you 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you for 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Sweeps the leg, McPherson. He's done. Cincinnati wins. They are going to the AFC Championship game.
The Titans season has come to an end.
It was not good from number 17 on Saturday. They've squandered a great defense.
So what's next?
That is a huge question going forward.
Who will be back?
Clearly, Vrabel is not going to want to get rid of Todd Downing.
Keep it right here for your best Titans coverage.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Hey, it's Jared. Your body needs water. That doesn't mean it has to be boring. And I'm here to tell you to give Focus a try. Focus is a sparkling water with a spark. It's infused with a boost of natural tea caffeine, so you get clean energy without sugar, calories, or crash. Go to drinkfocus.com to find the full lineup of flavors and get them delivered right to your door. Enter promo code GAME at checkout for 15% off your first order. Focus is also available at your local Publix. That's Focus, P-H-O-C-U-S, on the web at drinkfocus.com.
Your home value is way up. Why not use that equity to make your house even nicer for the new year? Hey, Willie Donick here talking about a cash-out refi with Loan Pronto. So call Loan Pronto now. They're fast-tracking home refis for the new year, and people are getting checks for $60, $70, $100,000 or more. And right now, Loan Pronto can even cover all your closing costs. Listen, your home's value is way up. All you have to do is convert that equity into cash. Cash for a new luxurious kitchen or a new home office, or start that swimming pool so you can use it for the summer. Call Loan Pronto now. You can even close in as little as 2 weeks with a big check. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. So make 2022 the year you fix up your home and reinvest with Loan Pronto's help. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Every Wednesday at 4, it's me, Jared Stillman, against Joe Rexroad for Jared versus Joe. Brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Visit ParmanTractor.com, your Middle Tennessee link belt and Takeuchi dealer.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt football head coach Clark Lee. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company, the TD Power Hour is presented by FreedomTireGuys.com. Teron Davenport, ESPN with us. TD, I will give the Titans players credit. Now, this is not the typical off-season locker clean-out day like we're used to because of COVID. And I would say that one thing that's probably hurt the players as much as it's hurt, us as fans and you as media is the fact that the last 2 years the locker room has not been open where you are in there talking to players and, because I know how it is with players and especially with guys that they see all the time like you. Usually if there's something they want to tell you, they can go off to the side and you can talk to them and just have a conversation with them.
Yep.
And now it's just totally different. And so some of the players spoke on Monday, but not a lot of them, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But the Titans players have been very strong in their defense of Ryan Tannehill. Taylor Lewan going to his podcast on Bussin' with the Boys. Here's what Taylor Lewan said.
Here's what I have to say about anybody who's questioning Tannehill is years past, even this year, him having the confidence to throw it into situations and it's worked out before and you guys all that he was the greatest. Just because it didn't work out doesn't mean he's any different, dude. He's a stud. And with the boys ride or die with Tanny, he is literally revived the Tennessee Titans along with the new defense.
So very strong support there. He's not the only one. But Derek Mason on the midday show may be the best receiver in the history of the Titans, though AJ's getting there, for a little battle between the two. But Derek Mason on the midday show was talking about how he would feel if he played. Here's what he said.
I would still play for him. I wouldn't fuss or anything else. But in the back of your mind, it's like, okay, we've been at this for 3 years with him. And it comes a point where as a player, a veteran player, your time is running short to win a championship. So you're looking at the GM and everyone else like, man, can we do something? Is there something we can do? Because, these veteran players have blood, sweat, and tears, and we keep losing, in the playoffs. And a lot of it is because of the quarterback. Is there something we can do? You wouldn't publicly, rip the guy, but behind closed doors, you would be like, man, whether it be to your family or other coaches or other players, like, man, we need to he's good, but we need, and you start looking around the league like, we need somebody great. You're not going to openly bash him, but behind closed doors, you're like, man, we need somebody that's going to get us over that hump.
TD, what do you think? Because the players have been incredibly passionate about Tannehill, not just now, but over the last 3 years. How do you think the team feels about Tannehill after Saturday?
Yeah, I think they believe that they can win with him. And, I respect that. They obviously are in the mix and they know better than anybody. But I just think, in my opinion, having him as your quarterback puts a lot of pressure on a lot of other things on the team, right? You need A.J. Brown to make a one-handed catch like that. You need the defense to have a performance like they did on Saturday. You need Derrick Henry to run the football the way that he is able to run it, along with Foreman and that crew. You need you see what I'm saying? Anytime you say you need like 3 or 4 times, now you're getting into, okay, how likely is it to have all of those things fall into place each and every week? And especially in the playoffs.
Take what the 49ers did to win their game. Like, you're not going to block a punt and a field goal and all that again.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing, and a lot of people point to the 49ers and say, hey, they've managed to win with Garoppolo, yada, yada, yada. But I guess what? In those games that they won, what's the one thing Garoppolo did not do? Turn the football over, right? And I think that's the issue. And that's why a lot of people are where they are with Ryan Tannehill, because there were 3 turnovers on Saturday, and the year before, it ended. You had 2 straight seasons and on an interception offensively, and that's just, there's a lot to take from that.
The other thing I think about, and you played, and so I think that this team loves him so much that they want to believe that he can do it, the players. But I think this time last week, they thought, we can go to war with him. And now I think this time this week, and I never played in the NFL, And I'm not a player, but I got to believe that there's some doubt in the back of the mind that's like, I really thought he could do it, and I want him to do it, and I love him, and he's a great leader and a great guy and a great butt. To D. Mace's point, you're thinking, man, can I win with this dude in the AFC with Mahomes and Allen and Burrow and Herbert and all these other guys?
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I never played in the NFL myself, so I'm right there with you. But I know that having seen what Mahomes and those guys did, Mahomes and Josh Allen in that game, if you're watching that, you have to be like, man, we need some of that on our team. You know what I mean? And the bottom line is that's not the type of, production that they've been able to get from Ryan Tannehill. And granted, we're talking about two of the best quarterbacks in the AFC, but if you want to be able to, win it all, then you have to beat those guys. And it's tough to beat them, without having somebody that can put up equal production.
You said you started to look at film for the draft at the quarterbacks. I'm not going to ask you about individual guys specifically, but do you think that it's hit the Titans in their mind that they may need to look harder at quarterback in the draft early than they ever have, especially given the way that Kansas City got out of their Alex Smith problem of he's good, but this is the ceiling? Do you think this may be the closest they look at the quarterback class since John Robinson's been the general manager?
Yeah, I really do think it's the closest that they'll look at the quarterback class. And I mean, obviously, you had Luke Falk, you had my man Cole McDonald, but these were just guys that were just kind of like back of the roster type of picks that they made. And I think now it's time to consider a guy on day one. It's time to absolutely consider a guy on the early part of day two, and I know they don't have a second, but they could always trade down and manufacture a pick to be able to do that. And you look at guys like Colin Kaepernick, was picked in the second round. Derek Carr was picked in the second round. Kirk Cousins was picked in the third. Dak Prescott in the fourth or the fifth. So you could get a guy later. It's really kind of like strike and go. It doesn't happen too often, but still, when you look at that situation, they absolutely have to consider an earlier draft pick. Just because, I mean, it's become clear that this thing is, the wheels could fall off, and you don't want to get caught, with your pants down.
The thing Floyd used to always tell me was, if you're going to pick up the phone, like let's say the Titans, let's say John Robinson wakes up and decides, I got to go try to trade for Russell Wilson. The second you pick up the phone and call Seattle, if by the time that phone call's not over, you don't have a deal in place with Seattle, it's getting out. And I wonder if the Titans are okay with that. Like, if the Titans are okay with snooping around this offseason and, because it's going to hurt Tannehill's feelings when that comes out, if it does come out. And I wonder if they're okay with it given their circumstances. Yeah,
it's going to hurt his feelings, but everybody has to understand it's a business. And the bottom line is what happened most recently? 3 interceptions,
cost them the game.
Right? Exactly. So that's the other thing. And you made a good point earlier this week. When you listen to the press conference, right? It isn't I have to make a better throw. I have to, no, it's we. And that was kind of eye-opening because, I mean, listen, these mistakes, they were, again, Julio Jones could have worked his way back to the football. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine could have worked his way back to the football at the end. But the bottom line is you were late on the throw. The bottom line is, you had another guy coming open, and I get it. It's easy to armchair quarterback, but that's the bottom line. So I thought it was interesting that he didn't accept, full responsibility personally for it. And I'm not saying the guy should have got up there and said, hey, I lost the game, but acknowledge the mistakes,
Mm-hmm. It reminds me the way that the Bengals were acting about, and the Bengals can do whatever they want. They won the game and they played well. But the way they were acting it reminds me of the way that the Titans used to treat Blake Bortles. Remember the Jarrell Casey stuff with Bortles and, Kevin Byard came out before the playoff game against New England and was like, we got to turn Tom Brady into Blake Bortles. I mean, the Titans used to just take pot shots at Bortles all the time. And I think that Cincinnati, like Jesse Bates came out on Sunday and said, he was staring down the receiver, so I just went over to it and jumped the route.
I mean, that's what he did, and that's the other thing. And we talked about that play. You have no vertical route on the backside. And I get it, they had max protection and everything, but, max protection is a good thing. But at the same time, you still have to have a vertical route on the backside to stretch the field. Put the safety in the bind, like make him have to consider something else. And in this case, he was just able, as he said, to read Tannehill's eyes. And and that's something that Tannehill does, though, right? He telegraphs a lot of his throws and he makes pre-snap reads. And there have been different times where, there's a predetermined where he's going with the football. And next thing you know, it's a turnover. And this is exactly what happened on this play here.
TD is with us. The TD Power Hour presented by FreedomTireGuys.com. Coming up next, your questions for TD, and I just looked into the text line. It has exploded. Get them in there, 615-737-1025. A lot of people want to know what the Titans can do, TD. That's next. Stillman & Company, it's ESPN 1025, The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobis. Today a little bit warmer than the past few days. High temperatures in the mid to upper 40s. Overnight temperatures down to 30 degrees, partly cloudy throughout the day into tonight. Your Friday brings us back to the 30s and also the chance for a few isolated snow showers.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
The Lowe's Just for Pros event is back. Get savings on the top tools, plus bonus perks to help with your business. Lowe's, the new home for pros. Valid 117 to 128 U.S. only.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. We've brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, and pendants. We have the styles and looks on every woman's wish list, things you can't find anywhere else. And for 2022, Genesis is now offering a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular styles in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2022 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Men, let's have an honest talk about sex, because for just about all of us, sex is a pretty big deal. Here's the problem. If you're a man over 40, it's likely you're living with erectile dysfunction. But men don't talk about ED because it's embarrassing, it's taboo, and so many of us just suffer in silence year after year. And all the while, ED affects your relationships, your attitude, even your outlook on life. If ED is affecting you, call the Tennessee Men's Clinic. They offer treatments that are effective in nearly 90% of cases, even if pills and herbals have failed, and often regardless of medical condition. For just $99, you'll get a medical consult, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Get treated. If you're like most men, you could get your sex life back. Call the Tennessee Men's Clinic at 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Contact your doctor if an erection lasts more than 4 hours. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Meshing Journalism.
They are 2 scores behind you. The math says that increases your chances of winning.
With sports fandom.
I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning, just emotionally numb from Titans and Packers.
And sarcasm.
You guys are the worst.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode. No duh. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Stillman & Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
TD Power Hour presented by FreedomTireGuys.com. There is some news from Adam Schefter. The Raiders are going to interview Josh McDaniels. They have requested permission to interview Josh McDaniels from the Patriots. McDaniels will interview for the Raiders head coaching job, and Adam Schefter says If McDaniels becomes the Raiders coach, a potential offensive coordinator replacement in New England would be Bill O'Brien to the Patriots. So Schefter already connecting some dots there. And again, the news today, Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator in Green Bay, has been hired in Denver. All right, TD, phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Caroline, to you.
Josh texts in and says, say we do get Russell Wilson. Would Todd Downing pose a problem in gaining chemistry in the offense? I think that hurt Tannehill this season, but I think Wilson would give more freedom for Downing to be creative.
Yeah, I don't know that there will be a chemistry issue. I think that's something that they could develop. And honestly, the chemistry with Ryan Tannehill and Todd Downing seemed to have been developed fine. And that's something that Tannehill has spoken about multiple times throughout the year. So I don't think that would be an issue. But obviously, when you have a guy like Russell Wilson, you're able to do a little bit more from a play calling perspective. And you may see things become a little bit more effective as far as, the play going as it's called, as opposed to, some of the other things that you see. Whereas Tannehill at times, he frequently speaks about letting the offense, not going where the defense allows him to go, as opposed to, making things happen. You got certain quarterbacks that, hey, I don't care what you do, I'm going to this guy and we're going to win. And I think that's something that you see with select guys, and Russell Wilson is one of them.
Mark from Clarksville texts in and says, who are a few players that you expect to be let go, cut, or traded this year?
Yeah, I think Roger Saffold is a guy that probably won't be around. And it's unfortunate, right, because he's been such a good player for them. But he's one. Jackrabbit Jenkins is a guy that probably won't be around, especially, with how they expect Caleb Farley to come along. And also, you look at this draft, there's a number of corners that they could get at some point, too, to help out. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Those are two that stand out. I believe that Rashaan Evans and Jayon Brown are probably going to be gone. When you look at David Long and Zach Cunningham, so those are other options as well.
TD, what do you think about Lewan? $14 million, almost no dead cap there. It's right there, kind of in the middle of the top 10 for tackle cap hits. What do you think they want to do with him?
They may try to rework it, but I don't see a world where Taylor Lewan is not back. And granted, he didn't have his best year, but he was working back for injury, and I think they'll account for that, and he'll be back, in my opinion.
In that same breath, another texter texts in and asks, do you think the Titans sign Jeffrey Simmons and A.J. Brown to extensions, or do their fifth-year options this offseason?
Well, you can only do the fifth-year option on Jeffrey Simmons. It won't work for A.J. Brown because he, much to his chagrin, was not a first-round pick. I think they're going to pick up the option. They'll do that in April, and they'll continue to work to try to get both of those guys extended. I would, if I was them, I would try to get that extension done this year on A.J. Brown, though.
The one thing that is interesting for those guys is the cap is going to explode when those contracts kick in. A.J. can legitimately ask for $25 million a year.
Yeah, and listen, his agent is no slouch, man. Tory Dandy is one of the top agents in the league, man. So rest assured that he's very well aware of that. That's the wide receiver agent, man. He has Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, a bunch of guys.
And Simmons, I don't want to get into what a potential Simmons deal might look like, but it may be the highest defensive player in the NFL.
Yeah, it could. And when you see what he did in that game, the level of disruption that he made, it could definitely go that route.
Scott in Kansas City texts in and asks, any chance the Titans get another slot receiver similar to Adam Humphries? Seems like we currently have guys that are not quite as shifty and able to create space.
Yeah, there's some options in this draft, and then have to see how free agency uncorks itself. But listen, they have a slot receiver that's very much like Adam Humphries and Mason Kinsey, and I know he's a practice squad guy, but he definitely is capable, and it would be interesting to see what would happen if he were to get a chance. But I tell you what, when you look at this draft, I'm going to give you a couple names to watch out for, and they're two different types of players. Jahan Dotson out of Penn State is a really interesting player because it's kind of like buy one, get two free, because he could play the slot, he could line up outside, but he gives you a return option, and he gives you that much needed vertical threat from the slot. So that's one to look out for. But one that's kind of more likely, and I think would be more in the Titans' wheelhouse, is Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. And this is a guy that he's different from Dotson in that he's like a power slot, right? Whereas he's one of those big bodies. You could think of the way that the Broncos and Bears used to use Brandon Marshall, right, as like a big player to line up in the slot. But he's much better yards after catch wise. And I think that's something that will really help a guy like Tannehill, right? You get those free yards. And a lot of people have compared him to A.J. Brown as far as his yards after catch ability.
You mentioned the wide receivers that the Titans could pick up. Another texter texts in and asks about the potential tight ends that the Titans could pick up either in the draft or in free agency.
Yeah, I tell you what, the one that I would really take a strong look at, and I mean, like we could look at unreasonable options like Mike Gesicki, who I think he's going to get a nice little bag this off season. So I mean, obviously he would be nice, but I don't see them being able to make that work financially. But David Njoku is a guy that I would look at. Gives you that athlete out of the tight end position, and then you could also, just move him around, do some things similar to what they did with Jonnu Smith. Now, he's not Jonnu Smith. Don't get that wrong. But he definitely is a guy that you could, do different things with. And then in the draft, Trey McBride is a nice option out of Colorado State. But this draft is deep at tight end. So a lot of those guys, will be at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. So that's going to be a good opportunity to see some of the options in the future.
Another texter asked, do we feel that we should let Harold Landry walk? I feel upgrade elsewhere because to me, Harold Landry did so well due to Simmons and Dupree.
Yeah, absolutely not. You definitely have to do everything you can to bring him back. I mean, what do we talk about is the strong part of this team, that front four, and who led them in sacks, right? And who was really the most versatile out of all those front guys. I mean, and who played the most, is right there. Landry and Simmons played the most out of that front four, and they do so much with Landry. I think it would be crazy to let him walk and just, he has to understand too how much this system really showcases him as well. So it's a win-win for both of them. They need to get a deal done.
And I think it's a win-win for Landry too, that the franchise tag number is $18 million. So even though you won't break the bank with the big deal this year, I mean, $18 million for 1 year is not a bad number, and then you hit the market after another productive year.
Exactly.
Ben Dexon and asked TD, I know it's early, but if I set the over-under at half a trade this offseason, including draft night and free agency, what would you pick?
Oof. Just a trade period, or are you talking about a trade of the quarterback? Or what?
Texter just said trade period.
Oh, I mean, that's tough. I mean, I think they do work to move down. So I would say 60-40, just to put something out there. Yeah, 60-40.
Donovan texts in and asks, what are the top 2 depth positions on our team, and what are the 2 weakest positions needing to be addressed on our team?
Top 2, I think defensive line. And I would say safety, but Dan Crookshank is going to be an unrestricted free agent. Yeah, top 2. So yeah, a defensive line. I think the inside linebacker group is strong. You know what I mean? With having that 3, you got Rice behind Cunningham and Long. The weakest, I think corner is something that you have to look at, just because they're probably going to make a move on Jenkins, and you don't know what you're going to get from Farley yet. And offensive line is still something. You could go to receiver, you could go to tight end as well.
TD, appreciate you as always. The TD Power Hour presented by FreedomTireGuys.com. What is on our first off-season edition of Talking with TD?
Oh yeah, we got 2 editions of Run TMC. Chris and I go through a segment on the offense, a segment on the defense. And then I opened up with just a long conversation about Ryan Tannehill, a short one-on-one with David Long, during locker cleanout day as well.
There you go. TD, as always, presented by FreedomTireGuys.com. TD, appreciate you. We'll talk next week.
I appreciate you. Take care.
Yep, TD joining us. By the way, TD was going to have a lot of TV time if Ryan Tannehill didn't throw 3 interceptions on SportsCenter this week. Unfortunately, no game. So there is that. So coming up next, we talked about Russell Wilson at length about the possibility of the Titans going out and getting Russell Wilson, which I think is on the table. And TD didn't shoot it down, which I was surprised by, which I'm, again, trying to figure out a way the Titans can move on from the quarterback and get something done. There is another quarterback who may be out there, and I don't think it's crazy next.
The voice of reason.
274 yards, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. You're not going to win a game that way.
The voice of the fan.
I'm tired of let's just give it to a quarterback.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Chase McKay. Bet on more than the final score with One Game Parlay at BetMGM. One Game Parlay is an exciting feature designed to help you make selections within a single game from over 400 bet types, including team and player props. Log into your BetMGM account and create your best parlay before the game starts. New to BetMGM? Sign up today and make your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 with bonus code 1025GAME. You can place One Game Parlay bets on football, basketball, and more. Plus, you'll earn M-Life rewards, and you can redeem for room nights and dining at any MGM resort nationwide. Try One Game Parlay today. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as not withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Do you really want to go through another year with that awful joint pain? Well, don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Willie Donick here. It's time to call the folks at QC Kinetics. Non-surgical regenerative treatments for joint pain. We're talking lasting results using natural biologics. No surgery, no pain meds, no steroids, and no downtime. This is really exciting stuff. Regenerative, restorative treatments that actually encourage your body to heal itself using highly concentrated natural biologics. Patients rave about it for hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief. Don't let them give you the steroids. Don't let them tell you your surgery is the only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics and do it now. And imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
The playoffs are in full swing, and Electronic Express is bringing you halftime show-stopping deals. Get the full game day experience. 4K TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. We've also got huge savings in every department. Computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, and more. The game wouldn't be complete without the food, so save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. We've got what you need to get big game ready at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren, Donick, and Chase. I started my radio career as an intern right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game. Now we're looking for our next great batch of interns. You think that's you? Send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply today.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. I was stunned, Caroline, that when I brought up the Russell Wilson suggestion, TD didn't shoot it down. And I'm not saying that I don't think that TD thinks they should move on from Tannehill and go after Russell Wilson, because TD definitely thinks that Russell Wilson would be an upgrade over Tannehill. But I guess I'm just so used to the local press corps that covers the team just shooting down the idea of the Titans going after a better quarterback. TD, we brought up the situation in Seattle, and TD was like, yeah, I mean, it could make sense.
Well, we read TD's article, and he said the Titans have reached their ceiling with Ryan Tannehill, and that ceiling is not a Super Bowl. So I don't know how you could say, well, the Titans have reached their ceiling with Ryan Tannehill, but not be willing to move on. Yes, I do. I know what Joe Rexrode thinks. I know Joe Rexrode knows that you cannot win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill, or at least won't admit it, but doesn't want to move on. But TD's open to the idea, and I don't know how you can't be open to the idea if you know that this is what Ryan Tannehill is. He's a get bounced at the first round of the playoff kind of quarterback.
Most of the people, and TD's not like this, but most of the people that cover the team went to Spotrac.com and saw a $57 million dead cap number and said, no way they're moving on. No way, no how. Even though that the salary cap in the NFL is very maneuverable, the Titans have one of the best cap managers in the NFL in Vin Marino. And, I brought up the idea with TD. It would be more advantageous for the Titans to trade Tannehill after June 1st. Because then it's only a $9 million cap hit. You can live with that. It would be more advantageous for the Seahawks to trade Russell Wilson before March 20th. So you make half your trade on March 20th. You make the other half June 1st. You trade 2 first-round picks. Your 2022 goes on March 20th, and your 2023 goes on June 1st. Everybody wins. But I'm not just limiting myself to Russell Wilson. Apparently, Tom Brady might be in the mix. Now, a lot of people think that it's either retirement or bust for Brady. And that's what I thought. I thought on Monday or Tuesday that Tom Brady was probably going to retire. Then I listened to my show in Boston, Felger and Maz, and they brought up the idea that Tom Brady could be using retirement as a way to get out of his contract in Tampa Bay and go somewhere else. Here's what they said on 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston about Tom Brady.
I sent you guys a clip, too, from the end of December when he was still here from Bleacher Report. Powerful answer from Tom Brady on the sacrifices older players make. Kids, family, life things you can't get back. It's like he's following a script. It's the same thing from the end of 2019 when he was sick of being here.
And I'll tell you, too, the whole wife thing, I'm starting to think she says to him, use me as an excuse. Keep making the money. She's a business person.
Yeah, right.
So I wonder, it kind of use me as the excuse. Get out of Tampa, find yourself a better location with a better team and more money so you can win.
Now, that's what I want, though, the one-year mercenary. Go to San Fran next year, maybe Miami, maybe Tennessee. Oh, yes. Tell me whose gear I buy next. That's what I want.
Okay. Now, let's think about this for a second. When did Brady start becoming unhappy in New England? I would argue it was the 2017 season when the Garoppolo trade happened in the middle of the year and the Seth Wickersham story dropped right before the playoffs about the dysfunction between Brady and Belichick. What happened in 2017? Tom versus Time, the original Tom Brady docuseries. They were like 15 minutes long on Facebook, but he had 5 of them that chronicled, his behind-the-scenes life. And in it, he talked about, what am I doing this for? What am I still doing? Why am I sacrificing? Why am I putting myself through all of this? So that's 2017. Then they brought up the whole 2019. Brady gets his contract reworked, and he leaves. And again, talking about his family. Don't know. Got to do what's best for my family. Last year, they won the Super Bowl, and we didn't hear a single thing about how Giselle needs more time or the kids are getting older. I think they grew up, right? Like they grew up a year from the first year in Tampa. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we start hearing, I got to think about my family and I have to put it in perspective and I have to do what's right. So when he was unhappy with Belichick, he went there. Now he's going there in Tampa Bay. And let's not kid ourselves. Tampa Bay, not the same team they were a year ago, when they were the Tom Brady team, and all of a sudden, Arians is not a stickler. Guys get kind of lazy in Tampa Bay. Antonio Brown went off the handle. And here are the free agents that the Buccaneers have to deal with. The free agents that the Titans have to deal with is one, Harold Landry. Tampa Bay. Chris Godwin, UFA. Jason Pierre-Paul, UFA. Ryan Jensen, the center. Big deal in Brady's life. UFA. Ndamukong Suh, UFA. Rob Gronkowski, UFA. William Golston, UFA. Leonard Fournette, UFA. O.J. Howard, UFA. Ronald Jones II, UFA. Aaron Stinney, the guard, UFA. I mean, these are all these guys are free agents this year, and Tampa Bay is in it's a mess. Do we wonder if the Titans can look at their decision they made 2 years ago and say, we know why we made the decision when we made the decision, but we made the wrong decision, and now is a chance with a team that's got a great defensive line, the best running back in the NFL, A.J. Brown at wide receiver. Let's work out a deal to get Tom Brady on the Titans. Does Tampa Bay look at it and say, hey, Tommy's not coming back to play quarterback for us. Now he's willing to go to Tennessee, and in a trade with Tennessee, we get Ryan Tannehill. He becomes our quarterback. Now, I do not know Tampa Bay's cap situation as far as how much money they have. But I got to feel like, other than going back to Jameis Winston, Ryan Tannehill's probably the best thing Tampa Bay could do. So do we think, a lot of layers to this. One, do we think that Tom Brady is using the retirement thing as kind of a facade and that he's really actually trying to get out of Tampa Bay? That's the first question. Do you think that?
Yes.
Okay, so you think he's coming back and he's trying to get out of Tampa Bay?
I think he's coming back because I don't see Tom Brady to be the type of player that would leave on a loss like that would leave on a season like that. I think he goes out on top after a Super Bowl. I think he's coming back. Just not in Tampa Bay.
A lot of players give it their all and never win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's hard to say, like, I want to go out when I win the championship.
Well, he's won 7 of them, so.
Brady might be the guy to do that.
I think he's the kind of guy that can say that.
Okay, so you think he wants out of Tampa Bay?
I mean, you look at the uncertainty of Tampa Bay's future. Tom Brady, his clock is ticking, and he doesn't seem like he's the kind of guy that's willing to wait around for a rebuild. He doesn't have time for that. If he sees uncertainty with the team that he's on right now, I say he's willing to shop around.
Okay. If Brady wants out, do you think he wants to come here first?
First? I don't know. I mean, his potential landing spots, there's a long list of where he could potentially land. I mean, Tennessee was a potential landing spot the last go around, so I don't think anything has changed there. He is friends with Mike Vrabel. He knows Mike Vrabel.
Let me ask you this. You're Tom Brady. You're Tom Brady and Giselle. Denver or Tennessee?
I mean, I personally would take Tennessee. I don't know what their priorities are,
okay.
But I would take Tennessee.
Oh, Pittsburgh or Tennessee?
Tennessee.
Carolina or Tennessee?
Tennessee.
Washington or Tennessee?
Tennessee.
Houston or Tennessee?
Tennessee.
Miami or Tennessee?
In terms of the stability of the team, Tennessee.
Cleveland or Tennessee?
Tennessee.
Atlanta or Tennessee?
Tennessee.
Philly, the Giants, Detroit.
Tennessee.
Okay.
I mean, are the Giants a potential landing spot, though? I mean, they seem pretty steadfast in their belief in Daniel Jones.
Well, they have no cap space. I think she does. I think they've got a place in New York.
How do they have no cap space?
I don't know. But the one thing I will tell you about the Giants is this. They're not competing. Like, they have no chance to be good this
Tom
year.
Brady wants to go to a legitimate contender. That's why he wants to leave Tampa Bay.
The only team that I could see is the Raiders. And we just said in the last hour, Adam Schefter reported Josh McDaniels is interviewing for the head coaching job with the Raiders. They've already interviewed Dave Ziegler, who I don't even know. And if I don't know somebody who works in the personnel department for the Patriots, that should tell you something because Floyd ran it. So I don't know who this Dave Ziegler is, but they've interviewed him for the GM job. And so they could have him and McDaniels, and I could see Brady wanting to go to Vegas. That's the only other team that I could perhaps possibly see Tom Brady have any interest in playing for other than the Titans. But I still think with the Titans' defense that Brady rather come here. This defense and this defensive line is better than it was 2 years ago when they went to the AFC title game. And that appeases a quarterback like Brady.
And that's what we don't know for certain is what is Tom Brady's biggest priority. But I have to think that at 44 years old, his biggest priority is winning right now. What team is poised to win the Super Bowl right now?
And who comes with Tom Brady? If you end up getting Tom Brady from Tampa Bay, who ends up coming with him?
Gronk.
Okay, what position do the Titans need somebody at?
Tight end.
Okay, so do we think the Titans are players for Brady?
If they were 2 years ago, I don't think that anything has changed. I think they're actually bigger players for Brady now than they were 2 years ago.
I talked about the wanting to tamper with Russell Wilson. Like, I want the Titans to tamper with Russell Wilson. I want Russell Wilson to know that the Titans want him and that a deal can be worked out, because I think a deal can be worked out for Russell Wilson. And then I want Russell to go to Seattle and say, I want to go to Tennessee. The Titans can tamper with Brady. I think they have tampered with Brady in the past. This is one... Would you do it? Because this is a one-year deal. Like, if you go out there and you trade for Brady and you get rid of Tannehill, it is a one-year deal, and you are not getting the replacement. Like, you're not drafting in the first round Kenny Pickett to sit behind Brady. You're using that pick to get on Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going for it. What do you think? 615-737-1025. Add the list. 615-737-1025. Russell, Brady, Aaron Rodgers has been mentioned, but I kind of doubt it. What do you think? 615-737-1025. And is Aaron Rodgers in there as well? We'll discuss. Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jarrett Stillman & Company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 102.5 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood. Give local. Give life.
The Lowe's Just for Pros event is back. Get savings on the top tools, plus bonus perks to help with your business. Lowe's, the new home for pros. Valid 117 to 128 U.S. only.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota compact tractors. Rated #1 for reliability in the under 100 horsepower category, they're designed for easy operation and feature performance-matched attachments. Right now, put 0 down and get 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus save up to $1,100. Now through February 28th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Come see why Coleman Tractor Company is one of the largest Kubota dealers in Middle Tennessee, Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and their new location in White House.
One of the smartest things you can do for the new year is convert some of your home's equity into cash. You can do it right now with a zero-cost cash-out refi from Loan Pronto. Willie here. Call Loan Pronto now. They can fast-track your home refi and get you a check for 50, 60, 70 grand or more. And if you call now, Loan Pronto can even pay your closing costs. Listen, your home value is way up. Use it to your advantage. Get cash out now. Pay off those credit card debts. Consolidate other debts. Start that home improvement project and get your finances in great shape for 2022. Loan Pronto's refis usually close in just 2 weeks, and the process is easy. It's all digital. Call Loan Pronto now. Put that equity in your home to work towards financial freedom for the new year. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
If you missed the latest edition of the Anchor Down podcast,
Vandy basketball walk-on Drew Weichert tells us how Jerry Stackhouse surprised him with a scholarship.
I was caught off guard partially because he was kind of grilling me a little bit. He used to have this weak leg. He used to be, not very fast, not very good on defense. But the past few weeks, man, you've been really improving, and we got a scholarship for you. And I was like, wow, that is not what I expected to happen. He really talked to me about just, how I've improved as a player over the past 3 years. When I first came here, I stood no chance. But just, working on, like he said, working on my defense, working on my strength, he felt comfortable giving me this opportunity, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Search Anchor Down Podcast today on your favorite podcast platform. The newest edition drops every Monday at thegamenashville.com and the Game Nashville app.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as the Nashville Predators take on the Edmonton Oilers this Thursday. Puck drops at 8 p.m., but the party starts at 7:30 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters, Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
Interact back with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Tom, there was a lot of talk about perhaps you coming to the Titans a couple of years ago. In the HBO shop thing, you talked about a team staying with a quarterback over you. A lot of people wonder in Nashville if that was Ryan, and if so, what do you think of Ryan as a quarterback?
I like Ryan a lot. He's a great player. So he's obviously a great leader for that team, and he's done a great job. Last year was phenomenal. The year before that, he was great. So I really like Ryan. Competed against him a lot. He's beaten me quite a few times. So I think he's a great player.
But he wasn't that MF'er in the shop?
Did you say MF'er out here?
Yeah, he wasn't that MF'er?
Oh, was Ryan? Yeah. No, Ryan wasn't. Ryan's a great guy. No, I like Ryan. I was just talking. Just fodder.
There you go. That was Brady. Said, I like Ryan a lot. Just fodder. Just fodder. Yeah, I did say MF'er out there. I'm sorry to everybody at home. As if Tom hasn't said anything worse in his life. So, Brady, we were discussing. Caroline thinks it's all BS with Brady, the retirement talk, and that Brady wants to hit the market and be dealt from Tampa Bay. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, where did he come from? Came from New England. The BSers in pressconference.com.
Okay, here's a little interesting nugget. According to overthecap.com, and I don't know how accurate this is, and I try to stress people when they use the internet with anything, but especially football contracts, be careful. Ian, remember all the times we try to talk to Floyd about guaranteed money and how that always ended up the exact same every time.
Mm-hmm.
If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were to trade Tom Brady before June 1st, they would take on a $32 million dead cap charge. Now, I don't know what Brady's guaranteed salary is, and I need to look that up. But if they were to trade him post-June 1st, they take on an $8 million dead cap charge, which is much better than the $32 million dead cap charge. And again, I'm trying to figure out what the base salary for Brady is. I'm guessing the base salary is somewhere around like $11 million. No, probably about $20 million in base salary for Brady. So Tannehill's 24. If Tannehill is traded before June 1st, it's a $50 million cap charge, which nobody likes. 57 to be exact. If he's traded after June 1st, it's a $9.6 million dead cap charge. So $8 million for Brady on the dead cap, $9.6 for Tannehill. So you're still paying a bunch of money at your quarterback position, but you're definitely not paying as much. If Tom wants out, both teams could announce a swap after June 1st. And I don't know who would be a better option than Ryan Tannehill for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to play quarterback.
I mean, it depends on, what are they looking for? Is that something that they're interested in? But if Tom Brady wants out, then I don't really know how much, maneuvering they can do there. How much can the Buccaneers really pick and choose? If their quarterback wants out, he's out.
Like, the thing about Brady and Russell is I feel like they control their situations. Green Bay has told Aaron, no, you're not controlling the situation, Aaron. We are going to control the situation. Brady and Russell Wilson control their situation. Russell via a no-trade clause.
Uh-huh. Brady via just being Tom Brady.
Brady via the fact that he'll just retire.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to play on a bad team. Tannehill, if he is traded pre-June 1st, according to this, I want to make sure I get these numbers right. Tannehill is a $28 million dead cap charge if he's traded before June 1st. So, for example, if they trade Tannehill for Russell before June 1st, then they would essentially be paying $50 million at the quarterback position, I think.
Oh, gosh.
But look at what the Rams are doing this year.
Does it say anything on Over the Cap? I'm looking at Spotrac right now, about Brady and his contract here. And in the notes, it says if Brady retires after the 2021 season, the Bucs will recoup $16 million of the signing bonus.
Well, yeah, I don't think Tom wants to do that.
I mean, I don't think he's going to be giving up $16 million. It says if Brady retires after 2021.
The only thing I know is that one time I talked about a Tom Brady contract on the air, and the old man looked at me and goes, "You've never seen a Tom Brady contract." And I was like, you bring up a fair point. There are two of us in this discussion that are qualified to discuss Tom Brady's contracts. One of us negotiated them. The other one didn't. So I don't know exactly what the intricacies are, but that is an interesting little nugget that Brady could force a trade. And if Brady forces a trade, I think it's you or the Raiders if the Raiders get McDaniels. And then that would be a better option, I think, for Tampa Bay, Derek Carr, than Tannehill would be.
But are the Raiders set up to win right now? I mean, of course, you would put a Tom Brady on any team, and they're going to instantly become Super Bowl contenders. But in all of the pieces around him, can the Raiders win a Super Bowl?
I don't know how, if you're a good quarterback, that you could watch the Titans on Saturday and not think that you could have done better.
Well, yes. I mean, like, if you just don't turn the ball over, you win that game and you're in the AFC Championship. And Tom Brady is the type of quarterback that will not turn the ball over and will get your team to the AFC Championship. You don't even need to do anything fun and fancy. All you have to do is just hold on to the football.
I mean, I don't think it goes without saying, like, Titans win that game Saturday if Brady's the quarterback. I mean, I think that is
very easy to say, and I don't think that that's a hot take. You thought
Okay,
the
well,
Titans
I'm
would win
for
if
it.
Logan Woodside was the quarterback, so of course
I'm for it.
Tom Brady would win that game.
I am for it. 2 years ago, I picked Tannehill over Brady. I have changed my mind. I am for it. After June 1st, Ryan Tannehill and a 2023 fourth-round pick to Tampa Bay for Tom Brady. And then you sign Rob Gronkowski for a one-year deal.
What if they want more? What if they want Kevin Byard? What if they want Jeffrey?
Then you got to tamper with Brady to get him to,
to talk him down,
pull on the marbles a little bit to say, hey, sorry, Bruce, but you got to go. Plus, Robinson and Jason Licht are best buddies, so that's another thing that I think works in your favor. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, 615-737-1025. What do we have?
Mark in Clarksville texts in and says, I said 2 years ago to get Brady, so yes, I would choose him now. Also, Titans would still be playing if they had Brady.
Oh, my God, I know. I don't want any victory laps on the I chose Brady's because morons like me were wrong. What's next?
Another texter texts in and says you should move to Orlando because you're living in fantasy land. Ryan Tannehill is the Titans quarterback. Face it, you need to start talking about where to send the running backs and sign Foreman.
What?
I don't know.
So this guy wants to get rid of Derrick Henry and sign Foreman to be the starting running back of the Tennessee Titans.
That's what it sounds like. You need to start talking about where to send the running back and sign Foreman.
I'm going to tell you something right now. If you get rid of Derrick Henry, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady are not interested in coming to the Tennessee Titans.
If you get rid of Derrick Henry and keep Ryan Tannehill, what does this offense look like?
I'm giving up on the Titans if that
What do you
happens.
do
I
on
am not
offense?
a Titan fan. I am done being a Titan fan if they do that. They get rid of Derrick Henry and they keep Ryan Tannehill.
I've been impressed by what I've seen from Deontay Foreman, but it is by no means enough for me to say, all right, buy Derrick Henry, buy best running back in the league, buy one of the best players in the league. Let me hold on to my quarterback that throws picks like they're candy.
No team in the NFL had a roster spot for Deontay Foreman until Derrick Henry broke his foot. That's not an accident. Now, I don't know what happened because Foreman, I think, is a bad boy. But no team in the NFL was interested in even having him on their practice squad.
Okay, I know. But it's not like Deontay Foreman was playing like a practice squad player.
No, but he's not a start. Like, the idea of getting rid of Derrick Henry to go with Foreman.
Absolutely not. And keeping Ryan Tannehill, the only reason why Ryan Tannehill was working in this offense was because it was a run-first offense with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do that, you're going to lose. But you can do that. Mark is up next on Brady. Thank you for calling the show. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, just wanted to make one suggestion about maybe Brady instead of Russell Wilson. With Brady, there may be a chance that you get a tight end, too.
So we brought that up, and I appreciate your call, Mark.
Okay.
I think Gronk does come. If you make a trade for Brady, you're going to sign Rob Gronkowski.
Oh, Lord, Gronk on Broadway.
I think Gronk owns a place here.
He may, because
I think
he
Gronk
does that
spends
tight
time
end
here.
university thing here.
Yeah, but he just goes to that. But, like, Gronk spends time here. So I think that Gronk would play. And it would fix the tight end position temporarily. This is all a one-year thing. That as soon as like next year's over, if this were to happen, and I will kind of agree with the texter that it is somewhat fantasy land, but if this were to happen, it's a one-year thing, and after that, it's all over. Like then it's blow it all up, and you're gonna have to get a new quarterback, and you're probably gonna have to draft one, and like it's by the time that you're out of that, Derrick Henry's not gonna be good anymore, Byers not gonna be good anymore. Like Simmons and Brown will still probably be good, but you are pushing it all in if you do this. And I'm okay with it. 615-737-1025. Terry Crisp got some Preds thoughts. Crispy will join us coming up next, as he always does, and then we'll get back into your thoughts. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Those are my guys. They take great care of my home. They've been doing that for years, and I promise you that they will do the exact same for you. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. They are proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. And let me tell you about the fact that they're trying to take care of you this year. So, for example, to help customers tackle necessary replacements, Hiller is extending their lower 2021 pricing through the end of the month. That is the lowest pricing expected all year. You've noticed all the inventory shortages and empty shelves, and now there are serious shortages on equipment and products for your home. HVAC systems, tankless water heaters, and generators are going to be extremely limited in 2022. And because of supply issues and rising cost of parts, manufacturers are rapidly increasing the price of this equipment. If you need a replacement, call our friends at Hiller today. Do not wait until you're out of options. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be or Services Free guarantee. Learn more at happyhiller.com.
Tonight.
Now here comes Matt Duchene to center. You got yourself a trophy.
The Predators continue their road trip as they head to Edmonton to take on the Oilers. Pre-game at 7, puck drop at 8 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. We've brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, and pendants. We have the styles and looks on every woman's wish list, things you can't find anywhere else. And for 2022, Genesis is now offering a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular styles in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2022 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Professional quilt maker Dana Ballard once said, "There are no rules in quilting, and if you think that there are, then it's time you try breaking a few." Now, I like that type of creative entrepreneurial spirit, and that's why I do my adult beverage trading at Red Spirits and Wine. It's not just a great selection of distilled spirits, single-barrel Red Select whiskeys, great wines from around the world, and awesome craft beers, but it's more the way the folks at Red just go about their business. At Red, they keep it interesting and fun. And the Cracker Jack crew makes you feel welcome after a hard day on the trail, never coming off like some of them snooty-nosed, big-talking whoop-de-doos. At Red, it's always square dealing with the best in service, selection, and prices. Plus, Red is locally owned by real folks, not some totally faceless corporation. There's no doubt in my mind, Red is my kind of place. Red Spirits and Wine, Highway 70 South and Old Hickory Boulevard. And check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and at redspirits.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? With nights getting longer, it might be time to refresh your headlights. You'll see better and drive safer. Why not try Sylvania Silverstar Ultra bulbs? They have the furthest down road light, and right now you can get a $10 AutoZone gift card by mail or email when you buy two. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or free next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Saturday.
Pippen leading the charge to the other end for a one-hand flush.
Vanderbilt is back at Memorial Gym to battle Georgia. Coverage begins at 4:30 on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey, this is Pekka Rinne. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN, has an article where he ranks the NHL contender tier rankings at the midpoint of the 21-22 season, tasting the cup tier, Carolina, Colorado, Florida, and Toronto. The next level he has is the if-then tier, Boston, Nashville, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Tampa Bay, and Vegas. Greg Wyshynski writes at ESPN, quote, if the Nashville Predators can find just a bit more offense, then they can be a force in the Western Conference. For all their regular season success so far, the Predators are 20th in expected goals per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. One assumes GM David Poile could go shopping for Pop at the trade deadline because with more goals in front of a back end anchored by Roman Josi and Juuse Saros, they've got something in Nash Vegas, he writes. By the way, I hate the term Nash Vegas, and I'm from here, so I feel like I can say that. Terry Crisp joins us on the program so far. Crispy, nice win for the Predators the other night at Seattle. They go again tonight against Edmonton. I do wonder this, as a coach, now that you're kind of past the midway point, All-Star break's upcoming, when do you look at your bench and think, okay, now I got to start thinking about how we're going to turn the corner and kind of get into the home stretch and go into the playoffs?
Good question, Stiller. Good to be on with you again, buddy. But it's not just a matter of doing it midway through it. Probably David Poile this year has been looking after last year's playoff run and saying, okay, if we went that deep, did that well, what do we have to do? And the start we had, et cetera. But I think right now he's saying, okay, what do we have to give up, or what do we want that we have to move, if anything? And a lot of times, as David Poile said, if your team is clicking and you think you're on the right thing, sometimes doing nothing is better than anything. But right now, knowing David Poile, he will be on the phones.
I think what's crazy about the Predators too, Crispy, is I feel like they're the kind of team that I'm unsure that they have the talent to win in the playoffs. But I remember Washington a handful of years ago, they geared up for the playoffs like 2 or 3 years in a row. And they went out and they traded big at the deadline. I remember they got Shattenkirk from St. Louis, and they thought they were on their way, and they got knocked out of the playoffs. And all of a sudden, Barry's seat got warm, and they didn't go for it before the deadline in 2018, and they ended up winning the Cup. And I wonder, we've done all those studies over the years about how much does it really matter at the trade deadline? How much did Ryan Hartman help this team? How much did Wayne Simmons help this team? You almost wonder if the idea of adding scoring is really going to make a difference for what this team is or isn't, especially considering, Crispy, the style in which they win games.
You know what? You're right. And so many teams have done that over the past, and history teaches us something, hopefully, in all of life. But a lot of times you think, oh, yeah, this is the piece. And the one you're looking for, you have a conception of them in your mind, but when you pick that player or two and get them in your team and into your dressing room, it's, whoa, what just happened here? This isn't the horse we thought we were bringing in. This isn't the value we thought we were getting. And you've given away a couple good pieces or part of your draft or whatever for it. And as you mentioned, everything goes south on you. So you just don't jump into it. But if you think you're legitimate contenders, and I always used to hate that expression, we're building for the future, because the future is now most times with what you're trying to do, except if you're in the bottom for 4 years or something. You look at a lot of teams that have done that, and then they take a run at it and still haven't won it. Taking a look at like Buffalo, what they've done and went down and the bottom and got the high draft choices. So having said that, you know what? You have to look at your whole organization and say, okay, is our scouting staff good to bring in what we need one now, or do we just depend on them to build for next year? And we're right now sitting, I think, we're few games the teams we're up against will give us a pretty good litmus test coming in. And this tonight is going to be a good test for us. Edmonton has struggled. They got two of the best players in the NHL as far as I'm concerned, and decent. But I want to see tonight. I want to see what we can do.
Terry Crisp is our guest here on the program. You brought up tonight, every time I watch the Predators take on Edmonton or Toronto, and I don't know why it's those two teams, but anytime they take on Edmonton or Toronto, I am amazed at how slow they make the Predators look, because they're that fast. Specifically, Edmonton tonight with the two players they have, Draisaitl, McDavid. How much do you look at tonight's game as a coach knowing that the Predators could use a little bit more depth on defense probably, but they're playing well, and knowing kind of what the level of forwards you play in the playoffs are, how much would you look at tonight's game and say, okay, let's see how the Predators match up with this high-end talent at forward that Edmonton has?
A whole lot. I'm looking, if Edmonton brings their game, and if they bring their power game to us, it will show us either show us or show us what we don't have on the back end. And I'll be interested to see, because the last game up there, I remember it vividly. I was up there when we did our little zip through Calgary and Edmonton. And, I mean, they just tore us apart. They come at us every which way, and we were constantly going around in circles. And if I recall some of the games in this season, when we've had our let's just say, our worst outing in our own defensive zone, like a dog chasing his tail around in circles, it's been speed teams. And speed teams that move the puck and their feet in our zone quickly. And tonight, Edmonton is one of those teams.
Crispy, what do you think about Philip Forsberg from this standpoint? And I promise you this is not a negative question, but I saw Kayla Anderson at News 2 put this out there. He leads the team with 21 goals in 31 games. Last year in 39 games, he had 12 goals. It's a contract year. I feel like he's been very transparent. Forsberg has. You know, he shows up to camp and is like, I think you got to earn your contract. Let's see how I do this year. And I was like, man, he's really banking on himself. He's gone out there and played at an elite level, a level better than he has consistently scored as a member of the Predators. But players around him are playing better too. Crispy, how much of this is Forsberg has kicked it up a gear in the contract year, and how much of this is peak Forsberg, and if they were to sign him, this could be what he could be long term?
You know, this is just me talking. And I said this before. I've talked to his dad quite a bit when his father comes over here about Forsberg and what he does. And Forsberg is probably one of the most talented ones we've had here ever. And you don't just give them away. We're talking like Draisaitl's and McDavid's and McKinnon's and all them, the teams that we have. Well, we have one. We have a Forsberg here. That's what I value him as to this hockey club. And I think there was something bothering Forsberg. I don't know if it was an injury or whatever was bothering him in the first part of this season. I don't think it was the contract negotiation. He knows he's going to get his money, whether it's here, whether it's down the street, over the road, whatever. He's going to get paid for his value wherever he is. I don't know what was going through him, but I think now he's sort of settled in to the fact that, and I've said this, and I've said it to Forsberg a couple of times, and I said, you know what? You should be being mentioned in the same voices, the same sentences as people are talking about Ovechkin for his team, and McKinnon, and McDavid, and Draisaitl for their teams, is how people should be talking about Philip Forsberg on this hockey club. And he just would look at me and smile and say, yeah, I don't know if he just thought I was pumping his tires or whatever, but I firmly believe that. And right now I see the Philip Forsberg that I figure in my mind is capable of doing that. So I want to see the rest of this season. But that's what Philip is to this team. That's what he means to me, to this team.
Crispy, I think Herb Fritz is on line one. He wants to say that Forsberg's agent just played that clip for him, and they want to be paid like Ovechkin and all those guys after hearing your great line. Because I will say this, this is part of the free agency process. You've coached, when a guy bets on himself and he has the kind of season that Forsberg's having, he will get paid, and you're going to be the one that has to do the paying.
That's right. And you know what? I've seen that happen before. I've seen us do the same thing before this. Guys, and it's a common, the phrase you just used, Stiller, is a common phrase. Well, yeah, you're going to see a great season out of him because this is his. And we've had 3 or 4 of those players go through here. Don't forget.
James Neal.
You could go down through and whatnot, who they were, and did that. And then the same thing happened. Get that this year, then they sign them. You get part of another year, and then what happened here? Where is it going? That's down the road. But right now, if you're looking at what do you have, how are you going to who are you going to get to replace Forsberg? Who's going to give you anything? Nothing. And if we let him go, we'll say, we need a Forsberg. Well, you had a Forsberg.
But what if you don't sign Forsberg?
Yeah, I was afraid you'd bring that up. I was afraid, Stiller, you would sit there and do that to me.
Crispy, I got to ask it. Terry Crisp, as always, Bally Sports. Crispy, appreciate it. We will see you soon at the rink.
Okay, buddy. Take care. Stay safe, and you all stay safe out there. Look after your families. Bye for now.
Yep, Crispy joining us as always. I will say this, though. I have to vehemently disagree with Crispy that Philip Forsberg is like the Ovechkin to the Predators. I just can't get there. I cannot. And I like Forsberg. I do. I think they're probably in too deep now on this season to be able to trade him. Now they're going to have to pay him at the end of the year. And if they don't, they're going to lose him for nothing. So they've really put themselves in a tough spot. But I do kind of feel like we've all been waiting for these guys to become high-end players. The McKinnons and the Crosbys and the Canes and the Forsberg is not that. And I just don't want this hot streak. And I love Crispy, but I just don't. I can't. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. There is a story in the NFL. When it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. It is probably a duck that I want to discuss that follows the duck theory. Plus headlines with Caroline. We'll do that coming up next, 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company. By the way, speaking of Crispy and the Predators, be sure to check out your chance to win, I believe, your chance to win with the morning show. Actually, I take that back. But you still should want to win on the morning show. Join us tonight for the 102.5 The Game Preds Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade. Drink specials, enter to win Preds tickets, and watch the Predators take on the Edmonton Oilers. It's the Pred Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade. 114 2nd Avenue South, downtown, 8 o'clock puck drop tonight. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Increasing clouds heading into the evening hours. Overnight, a few flurries will be possible. Not expecting much impact or accumulation. Temperatures on Friday stayed chilly in the mid to upper 30s. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
The Lowe's Just for Pros event is back. Get savings on the top tools, plus bonus perks to help with your business. Lowe's, the new home for pros. Valid 117 to 128 U.S. only.
Blood Assurance, the area's only nonprofit community blood center, announces they'll be giving away 8 tickets to the Nashville Predators Stadium Series game. Stop by the new Blood Assurance Hermitage location on Lebanon Pike January 25th through February 3rd for your chance to win. One donation saves 3 lives, and Blood Assurance needs your help saving local lives today. Find it in your heart to donate. Go to bloodassurance.org/schedule for information.
Hey everybody, Robbie Stanley here to tell you about my friends at Jasper's as the neighborhood bar and restaurant to catch the next Preds game. Jasper's is located on West End Avenue and offers a fun atmosphere with a game room, TVs, and a large bar and lounge area. Plus they offer free parking. That's right, free parking on West End, and offer specials for every Preds game day, including $10 smash burgers and $3 bottled domestics. So come on down to Jasper's next game day for happy hour every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. and 2-for-1 beers all day on Sundays. Just tell them that Robbie Stanley sent you.
This is Matt Crowder live at the Shell station on 41st Street, reporting on the free gas app called Get Upside that's letting people all over the country earn cash back on every gallon of gas they buy. Excuse me, miss. Have you heard of the Get Upside gas app?
Of course. People are earning as much as $300 a year with the Get Upside app. It's so easy. Open the app to see nearby gas stations offering money back, pick the one you want, and get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time you buy gas.
Wow. Well, there you have it. Stop paying full price for gas. Download the free Get Upside gas app and earn up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. This is Matt Crowder, Radio News Network.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to earn up to 25 cents a gallon cash back when you buy gas. Use promo code TODAY for a 50 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 75 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Get up to 75 cents a gallon cash back on your next fill-up when you download the free Get Upside app and use promo code TODAY. Promo code TODAY.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren Donick & Chase. I started my radio career as an intern right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game. Now we're looking for our next great batch of interns. You think that's you? Send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply today.
Credibility.
Look at me.
Relatability.
False start. 5-yard penalty.
And very little athletic ability.
You got to open up the playbook.
Darren McFarland, Willie Donick, and Chase McCabe are Darren, Donick, and Chase. Weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
You're listening to Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Woke up today to some NFL news. The Denver Broncos are hiring Nathaniel Hackett as their head coach. Now, Nathaniel Hackett was the offensive play caller with the Jacksonville Jags when they got to the AFC Championship game with Blake Bortles. And I actually always thought that with Hackett and I believe Doug Marrone, I always thought that they were better on offense than they got credit for. Everybody just looked at Bortles and how bad he stunk, but I always thought they were better with Hackett than they got credit for. But the Denver Broncos are not hiring Nathaniel Hackett because of what he did in Green Bay as the offensive coordinator. He didn't even call plays. Matt LaFleur, the head coach, did. They did it because they want Aaron Rodgers. The Broncos have been through this. They lost Peyton Manning. After they lost Peyton Manning to retirement, Brock Osweiler went to the Texans. They drafted Paxton Lynch in the first round. That didn't work. They tried out Trevor Siemian. That didn't work. They signed Joe Flacco. That didn't work. They drafted Drew Lock in the second round. That didn't work. They traded for Teddy Bridgewater this offseason. That didn't work. They are tired of having a good defense, having wide receivers like Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, and they're just tired of having quarterbacks that aren't very good. Just like they were tired when they had wide receivers like Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker and a great defense with Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, and they were tired of wasting it on quarterbacks like Kyle Orton and Tim Tebow, and they went out and got Peyton Manning. They're going for Aaron Rodgers. Meanwhile, Adam Schefter this morning inexplicably carrying water for the Denver Broncos.
Packers offensive coordinator instead will be going to Denver to be introduced as the next head coach of the Denver Broncos. And so we just look at where he's come from and what it is. The Broncos didn't hire Nathaniel Hackett because they want to use that as a chip to trade for Aaron Rodgers. They hired Nathaniel Hackett because they believe in him as a coach, because they thought he was the right guy for their organization. The fact that he knows Aaron Rodgers and has a relation, that's a cherry on top. Don't get me wrong. But that's not why they hired Nathaniel Hackett.
By the way, when Adam Schefter said that on TV this morning, Mike Greenberg laughed. It was like, yeah, but I'd rather talk about the Rodgers thing. If it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, chances are it's probably a duck. They went out and got Hackett because they are tired of Paxton Lynch, Trevor Siemian, Drew Lock, Joe Flacco, and Teddy Bridgewater. They want Aaron Rodgers. Time now for headlines with Caroline.
We're spanning the sports world. It's Headlines with Caroline on Stillman and Company, right here on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Let me state for the record, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Caroline.
That's okay.
I would consider firing Mike Vrabel if it meant that the Titans got Aaron Rodgers. Like, I'm at that point at quarterback, and I don't even like Aaron Rodgers, but that's almost where I am here, is if I get Nathaniel Hackett, I can get Aaron Rodgers, I might have to do it. What do we have?
Whoa, there. But, okay, like you
Would
mentioned, to get Aaron Rodgers?
Yes.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. But that's not what they're doing. They hired him because he's a good coach. Yeah. In addition to Nathaniel Hackett taking over the reins as head coach in Denver, there's some more coaching shakeup in the NFL today. The Chicago Bears will hire the Colts defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus as their new head coach. He was also considered a candidate for the Jags head coaching vacancies. The Bears this year went 6-11 under Matt Nagy. They've missed the playoffs in 9 of the past 11 seasons. So Matt Eberflus kind of inheriting a little bit of a dumpster fire there in Chicago. But they also interviewed Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, Colts and Lions head coach, and former Colts and Lions head coach Jim Caldwell for the job. But Matt Eberflus taking over in Chicago.
I guess I was surprised because I feel like we live in a society where everybody thinks you have to have an offensive coach now. I mean,
or an analytics coach.
I don't know Eberflus at all. Well, the Colts are one of those analytic groups. I don't know Eberflus at all, but what's interesting about him is he was, I think, a Patriot guy. Like, I think he came from, remember, Josh McDaniels essentially accepted the job and hired coaches, and then at the last minute didn't take the job. And so they had hired coaches that they were paying. And then they give the head coaching job to Frank Reich. And so Frank Reich has to deal with Josh McDaniels' coaches. Eberflus was the defensive coordinator. They have always had a respectable unit every time they've played the Titans, except for the one game where Autry and DeForest Buckner had COVID and Derrick Henry ran for like 500 yards in the first half. Other than that game, they've always had a respectable unit. I guess I kind of like this hire for the Bears, but I don't know anything about Eberflus, so I say I kind of like it. I'm not sure I really have much of an opinion. But, good for him.
Dan Quinn also interviewed for that job, and he interviewed for a lot of other head coaching vacancies right now with the Vikings, with the Dolphins, with the Giants. But he announced today that he will stay in Dallas as their defensive coordinator. He said, I think for me coming here, I wasn't here to look at what my next job would be. I'm having a blast right here in this crew and going for it. That's where my mind is and that's where my heart is. I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about what's down the road or what's next. I just really like being in the moment with the guys.
Okay, why do we think Dan Quinn did this?
Well, he is still getting paid from by Atlanta. He's getting paid in Dallas. So would taking another head coaching position nix the money that he's getting in Atlanta?
So I don't know what the offsets in his contract
I don't either.
say.
But that's what I thought was a possibility.
But if that was going to be the case, why would you even interview for those jobs?
I don't know. Maybe just to interview.
So I wonder if Jerry sweetened the pot on Dan Quinn a little bit and was like, if I don't get Sean Payton, I'm going to make you the coach.
But
I'm going to fire that lard coach we got that sits there with his laminated play sheet thinking about it's like a menu at Waffle House, and I'm going to make you the coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Pretty good Jerry. But
I want him. I want him, Caroline. I want him.
But would Dan Quinn risk that? If Sean Payton comes into the Cowboys, Sean Payton is the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Dan Quinn, I think, probably would have gotten a head coaching job if he wouldn't have stayed in Dallas. So would he throw away the opportunity to be a head coach for another team and just for the possibility of maybe being the Dallas Cowboys coach down the road?
Okay, don't you think head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is the number one coaching job in America?
Probably so.
Okay.
Up there.
So if Sean Payton gets the Dallas job next year, Dan Quinn just goes and gets another job. Dan Quinn just goes to go be a head coach.
Fair.
So, the coaches will get fired next year. And when those coaches get fired, they'll be looking for head coaches, and Dan Quinn's name will be on there. And that Super Bowl that Dan Quinn went to in blue will still exist. And so he can go take that job. But if Jerry is basically saying, if I don't get Sean Payton, you're the guy, then that would make me think that I'm in line to be the next coach of the Cowboys. 50-50 shot. McCarthy is not going to survive next year unless Dallas wins the Super Bowl.
No, McCarthy's on his way out. I feel like McCarthy's been on his way out ever since he came in.
Like, I almost wonder if Mike McCarthy has like a player's contract instead of a coach's contract, so they have to wait until June 1st to get rid of him. I can't tell. Dan Quinn's not a strong personality. When he was head coach in Atlanta, he had his, tell the truth Monday and protect the ball Wednesday and all that corny Pete Carroll stuff. But he doesn't have like a big personality. Jerry wants a coach who's not a superstar.
Because Jerry wants to be the superstar.
I wouldn't be surprised. But it is interesting that Dan Quinn has pulled out. What's next?
Someone else who will be leaving the league is Ben Roethlisberger, which really comes as no shock. But after 18 seasons as the starting quarterback of the Steelers, he officially announced his retirement this morning. He said in a Twitter video, the journey's been exhilarating, fueled by a spirit of competition, yet the time has come to clean out my locker, hang up my cleats, and continue to be all I can be to my wife and my children. I retire from football, a truly grateful man. So that also begs the question, who will be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers next year? There's Mason Rudolph as a possibility, Dwayne Haskins as a possibility, or will Pittsburgh shop around?
So I think Pittsburgh's going to draft a quarterback this year. I heard somebody say, well, Pittsburgh, nobody would know better about Kenny Pickett than Pittsburgh would. And I think to myself, gosh, if only there was a time in history when the Steelers were on the clock and about to be looking for a quarterback, and the Pittsburgh quarterback was available, and, oh, yeah, they didn't take Dan Marino. If only that existed.
And
So,
also, I feel like that's kind of an exhausted narrative of, like, take the hometown kid. But, like, we all have TVs. We all have planes. Like, we can all go to Pittsburgh and see Kenny Pickett play. We can all see Kenny Pickett play. Just because he's down the block doesn't mean that the Steelers know him any better than any other team in the league.
Sure. I mean, maybe they know some, like, him off the field a little bit. Like, their coaches know their coach.
They know the local restaurants.
But, no, I would say for me, I would say that I think Ben, personally, I think Ben was so done that he should have retired last year, and it was just advantageous to him and the Steelers' salary cap that he not do it. So that's why Ben finally retired. But the Steelers are kind of in a little bit of turmoil, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tomlin wanted to call it quits. Now, he says he's not. But I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to call it quits and then go take another job next year, with a young quarterback or something like that. Those are headlines with Caroline. Coming up next, it is the biggest question about the Tennessee Titans, period. And I'm not sure anybody knows the answer. That's next. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Take us wherever you may go.
There is going to be a whole lot of work going on.
Shoot us in anywhere, anytime.
I think he has some big play in him.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
BetOnline.net has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues its march through the playoffs right up to the big game in a couple of weeks. BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just football. BetOnline.net has up-to-the-minute info on pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, along with live, real-time updates of current games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the new, amazing offers available for the 2022 season. BetOnline.net, where the game starts.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I'm excited to tell you about our friends at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling and their heating and air stimulus plan. If your AC or heating unit is old and inefficient, then you need to take advantage of their special offer right now. They will double your tax refund up to $1,000. Huge savings with Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Get a York unit that lasts with a 10-year parts and labor warranty with up to 60 months, no interest financing on all York units. Restrictions do apply. Schedule now at springhillac.com. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, a York certified comfort expert company.
Bank of England Mortgage has been helping Americans live the dream of home ownership for over 100 years. Since their humble beginnings in England, Arkansas in 1898, they've grown into a nationwide mortgage lender with 141 offices across 45 states, including 3 convenient locations right here in Middle Tennessee. Find out more at BOE1214.com. Bank of England Mortgage is a division of Bank of England Mortgage. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS 418-481.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and paid time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Signs First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Hey, it's Elijah Campbell from Darren, Donick, and Chase, and I got my radio start right here as an intern at ESPN 102.5 The Game. It was an excellent experience, and we're now looking for new interns. If you think that's you, go ahead and send your resume over to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply.
CSX, a growing Fortune 500 logistics company, has immediate openings for freight train conductors. If you're looking for a rewarding career offering paid training at nearly $25 per hour, competitive benefits, and you share a passion for great service, apply today at csx.com/careers. That's csx.com/careers. CSX, committed to supporting military and veteran families and their communities. CSX is an equal opportunity employer.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcast
Broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry, Hillside Medical Game Studios. So this show in particular, but really the discussion around town is all about Ryan Tannehill. That's it. Ryan Tannehill blew the game on Saturday. There's no way around it. And we've talked about it a little bit here, talked about it a little bit there. It was funny. I was listening to Jim Wyatt this morning on the midday show, and he kind of offered up Ryan Tannehill feels terrible, but it wasn't just him. They missed a tackle. They could have gotten an interception. They could have this. They could have whatever. And Derek Mason said to Jim Wyatt, he said, Jim, and I love Jim. He said, Jim, I love you, but I'm not so sure about that. And I kind of chuckled, and I was sitting there like, there are some people, Caroline, you've talked about it, there are some people in the text line who do not blame Ryan Tannehill for the loss on Saturday.
They are blaming just about everything you could possibly blame, except the most glaring person to blame, and that is Ryan Tannehill.
Yes. And I would say this. I know that it's time to move on from Ryan Tannehill. TD wrote at ESPN.com, the Titans have reached their ceiling with Ryan Tannehill. Caroline thinks Titans can't win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill. Stephen A. Smith says, you want to get over the hump, you better get yourself another quarterback. D. May said it today, hey, if I played with him, I'd go out there and play, but I'd be thinking in the back of my mind, hey, get me another quarterback. They'd all be saying that. The thing that's crazy is Stephen A. Smith makes $8 million a year, anywhere from $8 to $12 million a year. His opinion doesn't matter. Derek Mason played 15 years in the NFL. His opinion doesn't matter. I host a very popular afternoon radio show in the city of Nashville, and really the only one that actually focuses and drives topics, and what I think doesn't matter. I mean, it only matters what one or two people think. And those two people, John Robinson, the general manager of the Titans, but more importantly, Amy Adams Strunk, the owner of the Titans. We all know the story. 2006, Jay Cutler, Matt Leinart, Vince Young. Bud Adams lives in Texas. And Vince Young just brought the Longhorns a national championship. Jeff Fisher went to USC. He hired Matt Leinart's offensive coordinator. But Bud Adams wanted Vince Young. And all of a sudden, Vince Young was the starting quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. So it matters what the people in charge think. And I know this, and Ian, I think you can back this up from all those years working with Floyd. Let's say Floyd Reese sat in his box on Saturday night and watched Ryan Tannehill throw the Titans out of the playoffs and waste the number 1 seed and have to sit at home and watch Cincinnati play Kansas City instead of having a packed house at Nissan Stadium. And he decided in that moment, I'm done with Ryan Tannehill. Just like I said on Monday, it's time to get divorced from Ryan Tannehill. If Floyd thought it Saturday night, if he was still the GM, how many people would know that he thought that, Ian?
Probably just him.
Just him. He wouldn't tell Jeff Fisher. He wouldn't tell Rich Snead, his number 2 in charge of the Titans. He probably wouldn't tell Bud Adams until he had to. But he would know, and he'd start to think in his mind. So when I look around and I read that, oh, Russell Wilson wants out of Seattle, Pete Carroll doesn't know if they'll be able to keep him, they're going to be missing their left tackle, their right tackle, their center, their running back, both tight ends, their backup running back, and they don't have any draft picks, and they've got a ton of cap space. If he was thinking about Russell Wilson, he wouldn't tell Mike Vrabel. So we've heard what Vrabel had to say about Tannehill. We've heard what the players have had to say about Tannehill. But what does John Robinson think about Tannehill? What does Amy Adams Strunk think about Tannehill? And I say this as almost like a rhetorical question. What do these people think? Because they're never going to tell you. They paid him $62 million so far in pure cash. Amy Adams Strunk. I think she'd like a little bit more return on her investment. But she'll never tell you that. So all I can go off of is what I know about John Robinson. And I start with what Floyd told us when John Robinson got hired about what he expects at the quarterback position. This is what the GM said in 2016.
I mean, I know John, and I know where John comes from, and if you turn the ball over, you're not going to be on this team. So if you fumble the ball, you better change. If you throw interceptions, you better change.
Okay, if you turn the ball over, you are not going to be on this team. Caroline, do you have any expectation that Ryan Tannehill is going to change, as the GM said there at the end of that clip?
No, I do not.
Okay. So we know that. We know Robinson does not do turnovers, and we know if you fumble the ball, you better change, and if you throw interceptions, you better change. That's not a good sign in Tannehill's direction. The second thing we know about Robinson, he's not afraid to be bold. Now, sometimes his bold decisions have blown up in his face. The decision to draft Caleb Farley right now doesn't look like a good one. The decision to draft Corey Davis coming off of an injury, catastrophic mistake. But last year when he decided he wanted to go out and add some defensive linemen, he ended up cutting Adoree Jackson, a starting corner, who the Giants paid a ridiculous amount of money to, and Dennis Kelly is starting right tackle. And I would say exchanging those two to re-up on the defensive line and signing an injured Bud Dupree, bold move, it worked out. Bold move, Mike Mularkey gets to the divisional round of the playoffs, beats the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead in Wild Card Weekend, and he fires him a day after they lose to the Patriots. So Robinson's willing to be bold. Robinson's willing to make moves. And the moves they make are usually shocking. Remember SEC Tournament 2019? Tennessee gonna play Kentucky on Saturday, and all of a sudden, right before tip-off of the mid-afternoon games, the Titans have traded for Ryan Tannehill to back up Marcus Mariota, and nobody saw it coming. TD was on our show earlier today in the TD Power Hour, Teron Davenport. I asked him, if you were John Robinson up there in the box on Saturday night, what would you think?
Well, I think you have to have an honest talk with yourself and say, listen, I can't rely on this guy to make everyone else better. I can't rely on this guy to not turn the football over, to manage the game in the playoffs. And I think that's the whole thing. And this goes back to something that I've said before when I called Ryan Tannehill a game manager. And I said it's okay to be a game manager. It's all right. You know, Tom Brady, your favorite player of all time, was a game manager when he initially started winning Super Bowls. So it's okay. But a part of being a game manager is not turning the football over. And, I mean, let's face the facts. In 2 losses over the last couple of years, there have been 4 interceptions. And I'm not going to put the blame on anyone except for him. And we could explain the first interception, how Julio Jones should have worked his way back to the ball, and how there should have been something, a route backside to kind of put the safety in a bind and make him have a decision. But the fact of the matter is, as a quarterback, you have to see that safety coming down and not throw that football as late as it was thrown. And granted, again, Julio Jones should have worked back. But I say all that to say that it is really evident that this team has hit their ceiling with Tannehill as the quarterback, unless they find a way to get premier playmakers at every single offensive position, and that's just not possible. So, I mean, I think it's time to take a look at other options.
Don't you think J-Rob's probably thinking the same thing? I know Joe Rexroad doesn't want to go over other options. I know he thinks there's no way it can be done, and I know Paul Kaharski will not let you have a discussion about changing the quarterback unless you know exactly who you're going to go get. And my guess would be just like Joe, when you bring it to him, hey, this is what I would do. He would probably, no. But I'm going to tell you this. I don't think the GM is sitting on his butt. and saying, well, you know, I signed Tannehill to this extension last year, and it blew up in my face, but I guess I'm just going to run it back with the same guys trying to go up against Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and Derek Carr and everybody else in the AFC, and I guess I'm just going to try to go give it another whirl. I don't think he's doing that, which means I think he's going to try to do something. We've already outlined today, a trade for Russell Wilson doesn't seem crazy. It's worth monitoring what Tom Brady ends up deciding to do in Tampa Bay, because he may just want out of Tampa Bay and onto a team where perhaps he could win a little bit more. Trade post June 1st for both he and Tannehill makes the cap numbers manageable. Aaron Rodgers, who knows? But I cannot believe, knowing what I know of John Robinson, I cannot believe that John Robinson is just going to put his arms inside his jacket and say, well, I guess this is what I've done, and this is it, and this is what I have at quarterback. They will look in the draft. They will look at Russell Wilson. They will look at Aaron Rodgers. They will look at Tom Brady. It doesn't mean they're going to make a move, but I got to believe that they're going to look. 615-737-1025. What do we think Robinson thinks of the quarterback situation that they have right now with the Titans? Plus, Vrabel said something that really got D. Mace worked up. And I want to go over that, and I want your thoughts. I want Caroline's thoughts as well. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company. We're delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jarrett Stillman and Company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 1025 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood, give local, give life.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best Award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution, and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Parman is now hiring and seeking qualified candidates for construction equipment truck drivers, service technicians, and more. Apply at parmantractor.com or call 615-865-7800. Come be an employee owner with the Parman team, your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer.
Hey, it's Jared. Your body needs water. That doesn't mean it has to be boring. And I'm here to tell you to give Focus a try. Focus is a sparkling water with a spark. It's infused with a boost of natural tea caffeine, so you get clean energy without sugar, calories, or crash. Go to drinkfocus.com to find the full lineup of flavors and get them delivered right to your door. Enter promo code GAME at checkout for 15% off your first order. Focus is also available at your local Publix. That's Focus, P-H-O-C-U-S, on the web at drinkfocus.com.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I want to talk to you about my friends at Creation CBD. You hear me talk about them every single day because they present Darren, Donick, and Chase, and we are proud to be associated with them and happy about it. And if you have aches and pains, on your body, whether it's from working out, being active, getting older, and you're looking for a solution, well, I've got it. Creation CBD. Creation means healing, and that says a lot. Creation is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here in Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sale, Creation is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use, including your pets, and you've heard me tell this story. Our female German Shepherd has had seizures for over 3 years, and lots of them. No matter how many pills a day she was on, the vet visits, nothing changed. But since putting her on the pet tincture, everything has changed. The seizures have stopped, she's lost weight, and she's a dog again. Right now, Creation CBD has got a special offer for DDC listeners. Go to CreationCompany.com, get 25% off your order by using the code DDC25 at checkout. DDC25 at checkout for 25% off your Creation CBD products. It's Creation CBD, curated for life.
When Nashville is in need for tire sales or service for their business, the Tire Man has been there for over 20 years to help. The Tire Man repairs new and used tires for construction equipment, dump trucks, 18-wheelers, box trucks, fleets, plus they sell new tires for vehicles of all sizes. When your company needs tires, call the Tire Man, 615-663-6040, where they come to you, fully licensed and insured, and they can't wait to work with you. That's the Tire Man at 615-663-6040.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
As a quarterback situation is concerned, like, what is it about Ryan Tannehill that you feel should make him the quarterback next year and in years beyond?
Got elite toughness. We have to be great around him, but he's shown signs of accuracy, of decision making. To the ability to extend plays and to scramble, and and leadership. So those are all things that you look for in a quarterback, and Ryan showed us that. Unfortunately, we turned the ball over on Saturday.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel. And when I first heard that, I thought, oh no, Vrabel's drinking the Kool-Aid. Oh crap. Oh, goodness gracious. Now, I still don't think that that's as strong of an endorsement as the one Taylor Lewan gave. Ian, if we could, on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast, Taylor Lewan, and I did listen to the podcast this morning, and there will be some things in there that I thought, might be interesting discussion points. But I got to say, that podcast is not like my kind of thing.
Yeah, no, you are not their target audience.
I'm really not.
They want to bro down, and I don't know if broing down is in your repertoire.
I don't think it is.
Yeah,
and I don't know
That's
why
okay.
that is.
You know yourself.
I mean, I'm not like a buttoned up wearing a suit all the time kind of guy. I'm not wearing a T-shirt doing the radio today, but I just am not on.
Look at you wearing a T-shirt for the radio show, letting loose, kicking your feet up.
I kind of feel like yesterday I wore a button-down shirt and I wasn't as comfortable, so I decided I was going to wear a T-shirt today. Here's what Taylor Lewan said.
Here's what I have to say about anybody who's questioning Tannehill is years past, even this year, him having the confidence to throw it into situations and it's worked out before and you guys all that he was the greatest. Just because it didn't work out doesn't mean he's any different, dude. He's a stud. And with the boys ride or die with Tanny, he has literally revived the Tennessee Titans along with the new defense.
So that's not the same as what Vrabel said. Vrabel, extreme toughness, signs of leadership, scrambles around, makes some plays, signs of accuracy. And the more I hear that, the more I'm like...
Signs of accuracy.
That's not really an endorsement.
The signs of accuracy kills me.
And this is why, and I said this on Monday, the Titans media, Vrabel can be very short with people sometimes. And so the Titans media, doesn't want to have Vrabel. Like Paul Kaharski, everybody laughed that time that Paul asked about Jim Schwartz's role, and Vrabel got all mad. And it was like, I looked at it like it told me really more about Vrabel than it did about Paul Kaharski, but the people on Twitter are like, look at what he said, whatever. But that's why the question had to be asked, are you committing to Ryan Tannehill as your starting quarterback next year? And Vrabel would have given you some smart-ass, smug, I'm too good answer, but it either would have been a yes or a no or a we don't know. And that's because the question was, what are signs that you want him to be your quarterback? Well, these are some signs that I'd want him to, but it doesn't mean I
want him to be.
Right. And so maybe Vrabel's not as committed. But the question we asked, what do we think John Robinson thinks? We went over today how it is not completely unrealistic to get Russell Wilson. Fair?
Fair.
It's a little bit more unrealistic, but also not crazy to get Tom Brady. Fair?
Fair.
Aaron Rodgers, you probably have to do some work on.
I think Aaron Rodgers is would be the most difficult, especially with the news today with Nathaniel Hackett going to the Broncos. That feels like the most likely landing spot for Aaron Rodgers. And his fiance lives in Colorado.
Yeah, but, I mean, Aaron doesn't care about anybody except for Aaron.
That's very fair. But with his offensive coordinator in Denver, I think that, to me, is the most likely landing spot for him.
But I asked this question. What does John Robinson think? Based off what we know of Robinson, Caroline, what do you think John Robinson thinks?
If Floyd said John Robinson doesn't do turnovers, that's what Tannehill has done this year. He's been a turnover machine. I don't know what John Robinson thinks about Tannehill. But what I do know about John Robinson leads to me to believe that he is disappointed and not pleased with Ryan Tannehill.
Well, that's obvious. But what do you think? Do you think he's at a breaking point with Tannehill?
I mean, I don't know how you can't be. I mean, Floyd said he doesn't do turnovers. Why did the Titans lose on Saturday? Why are they not hosting the AFC Championship game?
Because why have they lost 2 home playoff games in a row?
Why did they lose against the Texans during the season? Because Ryan Tannehill turned the ball over. Ryan Tannehill put the ball in the hands of the other team's defenders. It's not just something that we saw on Saturday, albeit if it was just Saturday, that would have been bad. But it is something that we have noticed all throughout the season, that Ryan Tannehill turns the ball over. Ryan Tannehill is inaccurate, and Ryan Tannehill makes questionable decisions with throwing the football. I don't know how you can be pleased with that. I don't know how you can be okay with that. And I don't know how you can't even consider the possibilities for a new quarterback after that.
Ian, what do you think John Robinson thinks?
I don't know if he's at a complete breaking point yet. Just because, as much as we don't like to admit it, he did win them 12 games and get them the 1 seed regardless of all the other stuff. So they're not.
Did he, though?
Well, I mean, our quarterback wins a quarterback stat.
I think they are, but I mean, God, he sucked this year.
Yeah, I get that. But they still were able to do what they needed to do with him as the quarterback, given all the stuff that was going down. So they're not going to completely just throw that out the door.
It's fair.
Even though he probably screwed up the playoff game. But, he's probably thinking, who are my options? Are they better options? Floyd always say, all right, I need a new right tackle. Okay, who can you find me that's better? Okay, I need a new quarterback. Who can you find me that's better? And is he trying to find the next Ryan Tannehill that he pulled off for the Marcus thing? Like, is there another option out there that could be Tannehill 2.0? I don't know. I'm sure he's thinking of trying to find options.
Oh, I hope it's not a Tannehill 2.0 situation. I want Russell Wilson. I have tried to talk myself into Russell Wilson. I think Robinson knows he's got to make a change. I just don't know if I just don't know how committed he is to that. Because
to make a change, just to make a change, though,
I don't think he's going to do that.
Right.
No.
I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think that he's going to make a change to Ryan Fitzpatrick or Jameis Winston.
Yeah, like bringing in Andy Dalton doesn't do you any good.
Because those guys won't even make it through the season. Right. Dalton
What
would
did
have
I tell
hurt.
you happens? If John Robinson picks up the phone today and calls the Seattle Seahawks and asks for Russell Wilson and they don't get a deal done, what happens as soon as that phone is hung up?
ESPN.
Immediately. The Titans have inquired about Russell Wilson.
The news is out, and Tannehill knows that he is no longer the guy.
Isn't that a good thing, though, for the Titans from this standpoint? Who is in charge of the Russell Wilson trade? There are 2 people.
John Robinson?
No.
Russell
and Pete.
True.
And we know that if Russell wants to go, Russell's gone. Like Pete has said, again, the quote was, Pete Carroll was asked if they can get through the offense without a repeat of the rumors and speculation about Wilson's future. Quote, I don't know that, Carroll told Seattle's Fox 13. I don't know that. I don't want to give you false hopes because there's just so much stuff that can happen in the offseason. There's unpredictable stuff, but we'll do everything that we can to keep it in order and all that. So he told you, Russ might want out again. So, if it gets out, in fact, if I was Robinson, I might call John Schneider and say, I'd like to talk about a deal for Russell, hang up the phone, call Diana Rossini, who clearly is in the satchel of the Titans. Call Diana Rossini and say, hey, I just called John Schneider about Russell Wilson for Ryan Tannehill. Why would John Robinson do that? Not only call, but put it out there?
I don't know.
Because he wants Russell Wilson to know about it. Because if Russell's in charge of the Russell trade, and it comes out that the Titans have called Seattle about Russell Wilson, and let me say something. If the Titans were to call about Russell Wilson and Diana Russini were to get that, that becomes the number one story that day at ESPN. Like, that is, the Titans have called about Russell Wilson, is leading First Take. It is all those shows. Maybe you wait till like Wednesday of next week to do it because you got the football games, and the NFL doesn't like that. But you get that out there, and then Russell Wilson knows Tennessee's calling about me. And now Russell drives the discussion. And now Russell wants to come here. And you don't think if Russell heard that, if it was like, hey, Tennessee called about Russell Wilson, Seattle said they're not all that interested in Russell Wilson and trading for Tannehill, they're not sure. And then all of a sudden Russell's thinking, wait a minute. Solid offensive line, Derrick Henry at running back, A.J. Brown at wide receiver, Julio Jones, which, again, I don't give a rat's ass about Julio Jones, but they do.
He's a name.
Defensive line that just got 9 sacks in a playoff game, all-pro safety. I'm just saying that would be the move for Robinson. But I just don't think Robinson thinks he can win with Tannehill anymore. I just feel like I know too much about how Robinson thinks, and I just can't believe that he thinks he can still win with Tannehill. And I don't think he's going to throw his hands up and say, well, the cap's too bad, can't do anything about it. Because when a general manager is the one who made that decision and then they put themselves in that spot, then that leads them to getting in a lot of trouble.
So he will do whatever it takes to get himself out of that hole.
Well, he knows he's only got so long.
Right.
Like, he knows he's only got so long until Derrick Henry's not good anymore, and the offensive line's a mess, and you got to pay Simmons $28 million a year, and it's all coming.
Because I think he knows, I think he understands that the longer that Tannehill is your quarterback, the more and more and the longer you're just wasting Derrick Henry's potential. Jeffrey Simmons' potential.
Keep that thought. 615-737-1025. We're to your phone, 615-737-1025. Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Hey, I'm Matthias Ekholm, and this is Smashville.
Ekholm, his shot, he scores! Matthias Ekholm gets the Predators' third of the night.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. We've brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, and pendants. We have the styles and looks on every woman's wish list, things you can't find anywhere else. And for 2022, Genesis is now offering a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular styles in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2022 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Brian Porth back again to tell you about Dr. Kelly Rice, Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. Earlier this year, Dr. Rice, I was disappointed to have a cavity filling even after brushing my teeth all the time and having regular checkups.
Ryan, cavities are like any other health condition. You don't really know you have one until it gets bad. Recently, I saw a patient for treatment that they had been putting off. Something that could have been simple to fix 6 months ago turned out to need a root canal and a crown. Postponing treatment costs more and takes time away from work.
Well, I can attest to the fact that if I had not been doing regular checkups, I may have had to get a root canal by now. But thanks to your great staff that has been taking care of me for almost 15 years, my teeth are as good as they've ever been.
Well, we do things differently. I want to let people know that if they're afraid of pain or worried about the cost, they are not alone. Don't be embarrassed. We understand. Give us a call at 615-373-4488. That's KellyERice.com.
Dr. Kelly Rice, Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine, 615-373-4488.
This is Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers. We understand that no one likes to deal with auto body repair and the inconvenience it becomes in your day-to-day life. I want to personally invite you to stop by and let our experienced staff see how we can help you make your vehicle look good as new. Apple Collision Center has 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Come by and see us or visit us online at applecollisioncenters.com.
ESPN's Teron Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Like, we're talking multiple first-round picks to acquire any of these players, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Start with 3 first-round picks, okay? So if you're talking Rodgers, you're talking Wilson, you're starting with 3 first-round picks. If you want to go down the Deshaun Watson route, you're starting with 3 first-round picks immediately and additional assets. That's how pricey that market would be, even if you can get the Seattle Seahawks to go, yeah, you know what, we're willing to part ways with Russell Wilson at this point. On the other side of Russell Wilson, there's going to be a contract extension, probably not for a year, but you're looking at another massive contract extension. There's potential for Deshaun Watson for another contract extension. Aaron Rodgers, automatic contract extension. So you're talking about 3 first-round assets, additional assets, and then very likely within 12 months of any of those players, but you're talking about a $40 million a year contract extension for a number of those players. So that's the kind of commitment for the primary.
Caroline, you have a problem with $40 million contract to Russell Wilson?
Nope.
Okay, I don't either. By the way, that was Charles Robinson, Yahoo Sports NFL insider. So he's saying 3 first-round picks to start with Russell Wilson. According to who? Remember, Russell has a no-trade clause. Here are, I went through a list, and I promised phones, so phones in just a second. But here, I came up with a list of quarterbacks in the NFL, like teams that are set at quarterback. So this team would not have any interest in Russell Wilson. Jacksonville, Kansas City, the Chargers, Buffalo, New England, the Jets, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Dallas, San Francisco, Arizona, the Rams, and Chicago. Anybody on that list that you think would have interest in Russell?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
They're all pretty set.
Teams that have starters, but the Titans are on this list. Indianapolis, Houston. Indianapolis does not have a first-round pick. Indianapolis, Houston, the Raiders, Miami, Cleveland, New Orleans, Atlanta, Philadelphia, New York Giants, Minnesota, Detroit. You think Russell Wilson wants to go to Detroit?
No.
Okay.
And I thought New Orleans was a serious contender for Russell Wilson before Sean Payton retired. Now I don't think that I would want to go to New Orleans if I were him.
Denver, Pittsburgh, Carolina, Washington don't have quarterbacks.
I don't think any of those landing spots, other than maybe Denver, would be as desirable as Tennessee in terms of winning right now.
Like, I could see him want to go to Pittsburgh,
maybe Pittsburgh
a little bit, but I don't think you'd want to go to Pittsburgh over the Titans.
I mean, it would really just depend on, chemistry with Tomlin over Vrabel. Would it be, does he want to go to a team? Look at the defensive
line.
Does he want to go to a team that's
set
up to win right
Watt,
now?
But this team got 9 sacks in a playoff game. And again, I had Justin Beasley, used to work at Channel 4, tweeted me and was like, Russell Wilson doesn't want to come here and hand the ball off all the time. Remember when Russell won? He had Marshawn Lynch. By the way, I just looked this up. If they make a trade pre-June 1st, The dead cap money for Russell Wilson is $26 million. The dead cap money for Ryan Tannehill is $28 million. So you're talking about taking a huge hit against your cap if you trade pre-June 1st. Post-June 1st, Russell is 13 dead, Tannehill is 9. So it would make more sense for it to be a post-June 1st trade, but then it'd have to be the 23 and 24 draft and not include the 22 draft. All right, phone, 615-737-1025. Matthew is going to kick us off here. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Go ahead, Matthew.
Yes, sir. How are you doing today?
Good.
What would you be comfortable with giving up for Russell Wilson?
2 first-round picks. And then I honestly might give up more. So he dropped off there. I will say this. I am more, I can tell you what I wouldn't give up before I can tell you what I would give up.
When you say I'd be willing to give up more, do you mean more draft picks or more, players, money?
I'd be willing to give up any player off my roster that isn't Jeffrey Simmons or A.J. Brown.
Including Derrick Henry?
Yes. I would be because you cannot win right now. You cannot win. I have decided that on Saturday night, I realized, and honestly, and Caroline, you can go back and look it up because I was texting you during the game.
Mm-hmm.
It was the second interception that was it for me.
Yeah.
That was the moment where I was like, screw this guy, get somebody new in here. Had they won, had they come back to win that game, and let's say that when they tried to bleed out the clock at the end of regulation, that Derrick Henry had busted one down to the 26, and they kicked a Randy Bullock field goal and they won the game. Had that happened, I would have been complaining all week about Tannehill. And I would have been picking the Chiefs, and I would have been telling you the Chiefs are going to light them up, and that Tannehill's the reason why the Titans are going to lose. And I'd be arguing with callers every day. But the second interception was the moment that I was like, you cannot win with this guy. Once you realize that, nothing else matters.
But if you deal Derrick Henry, let's say, to the Seahawks, doesn't that make the Titans a much less desirable landing spot for Russell Wilson?
Well, obviously Russell's a part of this negotiation.
True.
This is a 3-person negotiation. I don't even know who Russell's agent is, but he's the third person. I mean, this is a big deal. And the key is that Russell has to want to go here because if you're going to offer 2 first-round picks, you're going to try to do what the Rams did with Stafford. Somebody else is going to try to jump in. And they may offer 2 firsts, and their firsts are better than your firsts. So somebody else is going to try to jump in, and that's when you need, Russell to be like, no, I'm going to Tennessee. Ricky is up next on Sierra. Thank you for calling Stillman and Company. Go ahead, Ricky.
Jared, my man, how are you?
Good.
Quick point. New York sports last year was all over Russell Wilson to the Giants, and one of the selling points was that his wife, who is a Grammy Award-winning performer, was looking to get back into the music industry. What better place than Nashville, Tennessee? So if he really has, and I believe they reported there was a list of 5 teams that he was willing to waive his no-trade clause for, and New York was mentioning Nashville last year as a destination because of the connection with Music City. I think you give up the 2 first-rounders, give them anything they want, like you said, other than Simmons, and sell the city to him, and he's the new quarterback.
See, I think you sell thank you for your call, Ricky. I think you sell the team to him. And I don't think you need to sell it. We watched that game.
The team is set up to win.
He
right
watched
now,
that game.
It's set up to win.
Just ask yourself this question, and this matters only because it's Russell's opinion. So it doesn't matter what Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless or Colin Cowherd or all these people, it doesn't matter what they think, except that the question is, what does Russell think? If you were to say, let's say that the Titans, let's go back to my hypothetical situation where John Robinson picks up the phone, calls John Schneider, says, hey, we'd be interested in Russell. Yeah, we're not interested right now in Russell, but we'll be thinking about it, whatever. End the conversation. Diana Rossini. Diana, we just called Seattle about Russell Wilson. We're trying to work on something. Diana Rossini could not get to her phone fast enough to get on ESPN to say, sources are telling me that the Titans, if Diana Rossini's going to go carry water and go on TV about the Bud Dupree at Walgreens thing, she's definitely going to jump on TV to get on there to break a Russell Wilson story. So now, And Caroline, you've worked at ESPN, so you know how this works. But if the second Diana Rossini says that on TV, every show's talking about it.
Yes, that is the first thing. Let's say SportsCenter's on. That's the first thing on the ticker. Breaking news. Tennessee Titans inquire about quarterback Russell Wilson.
What would be the prevailing, every analyst that they bring on, every Stephen A., every talking head, they would be talking about the Titans are right there with Buffalo and Kansas City if they make this trade. Like, they would be talking about the Titans as the 2022 Super Bowl favorites.
It would be tough to have watched that game on Saturday and not think that they are right there with the Chiefs and with the Bills if they have a competent quarterback. Yes.
I mean, and
maybe competent isn't a fair word to say, but you know what I mean.
And that's Russell. Like, that, you got to get that into Russell's mind. And once Russell thinks that, like, I think this is something that the Titans almost have to manufacture. And they have to keep the ball rolling, knowing that they probably can't do anything until June 1st.
You know what's kind of crazy? I'm
What's
looking
that?
through the text line, and it is a overwhelming sense of Russell Wilson is a bum, and we want no part of him.
Do these people watch football?
If you think Russell Wilson is a bum, if you're calling him a bum, what did you see on Saturday?
Oh, God.
What was that?
Oh, God. Do the people who listen to this show watch football? I mean, we got people in this town that cover football that don't know anything about it, you know, anything that happened 5 years ago in the NFL. But, I mean, do we have people that watch football that listen to this? Russell Wilson's a bum? Russell Wilson. The same Russell Wilson we're talking about.
There were people texting in wanting Matt Ryan, but Russell Wilson's a bum.
I think Matt Ryan can be saved. I'm not anti-Matt Ryan.
But to say that Matt Ryan, well, let's make a push for Matt Ryan, but Russell Wilson, that guy's a bum, that guy's washed, we don't want him. What? Your quarterback just threw 3 interceptions in a playoff game, and Russell Wilson is a bum.
Wow. I may have to get a new job. I mean, I thought that the
That's
intelligence.
enough. I'm hanging it up.
I thought that the intelligence of this audience was higher than average, and now you're telling me
Don't insult our listeners.
You're right, the texters. Now you're telling me that the text line is saying Russell Wilson's a bum.
Yes.
Russell Wilson.
It
Russell
says
Wilson.
yes.
Like, we asked earlier today whether or not Russell Wilson can go to the Hall of Fame. Like, I mean, oh, my God.
Now the text line's popping.
To your phones.
Yep.
We'll go to your phones. Plus, the thing that I will not allow to be discussed on this radio show, that's next. Stillman and Company right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Increasing clouds heading into the evening hours. Overnight, a few flurries will be possible. Not expecting much impact or accumulation. Temperatures on Friday stayed chilly in the mid to upper 30s. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Furniture has never been easier to buy than now at Social Furniture. All the 2022 models are arriving daily with the latest styles and colors ready for delivery today. There's no waiting, and they have same-day delivery for your convenience. Use their financing and pay no money down and pay no interest for 1 full year. Yes, you heard right. No money down and no interest for a year. It's all easy at Social Furniture. All furniture at Social is top quality, solid woods, and designer fabrics. Buy local. Support Social. Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as the Nashville Predators take on the Edmonton Oilers this Thursday. Puck drops at 8 p.m., but the party starts at 7:30 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
Your home value is way up. Why not use that equity to make your house even nicer for the new year? Hey, Willie Donick here talking about a cash-out refi with Loan Pronto. So call Loan Pronto now. They're fast-tracking home refis for the new year, and people are getting checks for $60, $70, $100 grand or more. And right now, Loan Pronto can even cover all your closing costs. Listen, your home's value is way up. All you have to do is convert that equity into cash. Cash for a new luxurious kitchen or a new home office, or start that swimming pool pool so you can use it for the summer. Call Loan Pronto now. You can even close in as little as 2 weeks with a big check. Do it now and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. So make 2022 the year you fix up your home and reinvest with Loan Pronto's help. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee ensures children and teens, especially those who need us most, are ready to read, ready for class, ready to graduate, ready for their career, and ready to serve the community. You can support local youth and their great futures by donating at bgcmt.org.
Yes, Miss Tubbs. No problem. I'll call someone about the plumbing.
One of Beatrice's properties needs a new superintendent.
The custodial team is not...
Someone with handyman superpowers and a concierge alter ego.
Does anyone know any good electricians near Parkville?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Inside knowledge on the Titans.
Todd Downey's got his notepad out right now, just writing things down.
Inside knowledge on the Predators.
They can go right into the forecheck, and boom, you get a beautiful goal from Colton Sissons.
And then there's a team in Knoxville.
How excited should Tennessee fans be by what they've seen from Josh Heupel in year one?
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rexroad. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and The Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Number 8,
Mike Vrabel. Coach Vrabel is a really good head coach. I think the fact that his quarterback and Ryan Tannehill is holding them back, and he's still able to get the number 1 seed, not having Derrick Henry in the lineup this year. We saw the quarterback issues this past week against Cincinnati. That's why he's at home right now. Once he gets a quarterback, like an Aaron Rodgers, for instance, he will wind up being in the top 4 coaches in the National Football League. Write this down.
Keyshawn says, get a better quarterback. You'll go from 8 to 4 as a top 4 coach in the NFL. What about Russell Wilson? I'm telling you, Caroline, if Russell wanted to come here, I don't think there's anything that would keep this from happening.
I mean, if he wanted to come here, the Seahawks really have no option but to deal him. I mean, he's already made it known. He does not want to be there anymore. The Titans, I mean, we don't know what's going on with the ownership and in the front offices about what they want to do with Ryan Tannehill, but if Russell Wilson makes it known that he wants to be here, I mean, I think the only thing that could hold it back is potentially cap issues. But if that's a problem, they'll figure it out.
We already worked the cap out. Doesn't matter. Wait till June 1st. Bang, bang. Better for both teams. Phones, as promised, 615-737-1025. Matthew in Cool Springs. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Matthew.
Jared, you are easily the most entertaining and knowledgeable guy on sports radio, so I pose you this.
Okay.
Robinson put together the 2 worst drafts possibly in NFL history. We have very little to lean back on based on his breaking these drafts. Is it giving it? I agree with you 1,000%. Russell Wilson is the answer. But do we have enough capital in the future then to be competitive?
Define future. When do you want to be competitive?
I'd like to be competitive next year, but
I'm talking about when you say to be competitive in the future, do you mean if you trade your picks this year and next year to go get Russell Wilson, then are you going to be competitive this upcoming year? Yes, you will. Now, will you be competitive in 2025? Probably not.
Point taken. I'm concerned you have a GM who's not on the caliber of your coach. Vrabel is what he is, but he's a better coach than J-Rob is a GM.
So I disagree with that, Matthew, because look at your 2019 draft. Jeffrey Simmons, A.J. Brown, Amani Hooker, Nate Davis, David Long Jr.
It was a brilliant draft. Let's talk about the last 2.
Okay, but see, you can't say, and I appreciate your call. Think about this. John Robinson took over the worst team in the NFL. In his first draft as general manager, Jack Conklin All-Pro, Derrick Henry All-Pro, Kevin Byard All-Pro. Do you know how hard that is to do? Like, that is insane. So this idea of like, well, I'm just so worried if we give up the draft picks, we're not going to be good. You will not be good in 2025. But you're probably not going to be good in 2025 anyways. So look, and you know me, you guys know me. Trade deadlines for the Predators, they trade first-round picks away for Ryan Hartman. I lose my mind because I think it's stupid. Last year, hey, go for it, Julio Jones. I'm like, no, because I think it's stupid. But this is different because I think you have a championship caliber club, except you can't win with your quarterback. I think you can win with that quarterback. And I'd be willing to risk my job over it. Let's go to Thomas, who's up next on Russell Wilson. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Thomas.
Hey, I would say a lot of people in Nashville may be looking at like his fantasy football scores because I know I got screwed over him multiple times because he didn't have a good year. And so I'm all in on Russell Wilson. I think he'd do a good job. Like you said, like him and Marshawn Lynch did a good job. What's the difference between him and Derrick Henry doing a good job? But people are looking at those fantasy football scores being like, he didn't do anything worthwhile.
Here's the other thing. Thank you for your call, Thomas. The New England Patriots on offense were so bad in 2019. The unit that they had out there on offense, they were so bad in 2019 that we were convinced that Ryan Tannehill was a better option at quarterback for the Titans than Tom Brady. And Tom Brady was like, I got to get the hell out of here. I got to go. I can't be here anymore. Screw that. That's how bad those players were. In fact, Belichick knew they were so bad that this year he went out and spent money on Jonnu Smith, spent money on Hunter Henry, spent money on Nelson Aguilar, spent money on Kendrick Bourne. Like, he went out and spent a lot of money on offense because he knew he didn't have any players. Why does Russell want out of Seattle? Because they don't have any players. That's why he wants out. Now, they got 2 wide receivers. But other than that, it's average guys that he's carrying to the finish line. He's tired of that.
Why does Brady potentially want out of Tampa Bay?
Why did Stafford want out of Detroit?
No players.
That's why they want out. And I mean, to me, I think it's simple. And again, Russell Wilson might be washed up. He might be Julio 2.0, where he comes in here and he's not good anymore and you're paying all this money and you gave up all these picks and you look like an idiot. And guess what? You get fired. But if it were my job, I'd be willing to risk it. What I would not be willing to do is put that team back on that field with Ryan Tannehill as quarterback in an AFC with Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Herbert and say, all right, let's try it. By the way, if the Denver Broncos get their wish, they just hired the offensive coordinator of the Packers because they're going to make a run at Aaron Rodgers. Add him to the AFC teams that you are going to have to go through. And I'm not interested in that. Time now for Predators Game Day.
It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped, and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators Game Day presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The Predators taking on the Edmonton Oilers tonight right here, 8 o'clock on ESPN 102.5 The Game. The pregame coverage starting in a little bit over an hour at 7 o'clock. The Predators are 27-14-3, good for 57 points so far in the season. The Oilers, a very disappointing 20-16-2. That's why they've shaken everything up in Edmonton. John Hines, though, says with guys like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, the Oilers are a good challenge.
I think it's going to be a great challenge for us. I think Edmonton, you look at the last couple of games they've played, 2 wins against 2 really good teams. I think when you look at the style of game they're playing, they've been very aggressive. They've generated a lot of scoring chances. I think we all know how good their power play is. So it's going to be a good challenge for us. And something we've talked with our team about is how are we going to be able to play against, a team that is playing well, 1-2 games. They have some great star power. So, for us, it's making sure that we're ready to compete at the level we need to compete at 5-on-5. And I think our penalty discipline is going to be really important tonight. And we're going to have to if we get on the kill, our penalty kills are going to have to be dialed in.
And so if you take a look at the standings, Colorado leading the way, 63 points, and they still have 3 games in hand on the Predators, which is pretty incredible. I mean, they are sitting there a solid 6 points ahead of the Predators with 3 games in hand. They are the class of the division, the class of the Western Conference. Predators in second place, 57 points. St. Louis 2 points behind, but 2 games in hand. And Minnesota has a whole month of games in hand on the Predators, 53 at 4 behind. Minnesota has 6 games in hand on the Predators, and they are only 4 points behind. So the Predators are pretty much in fourth place in the division. But again, that's okay. Big one tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, but Philip Forsberg is tied for 9th in the NHL in goals with 21. He has been red hot, and he reached 21 goals in 31 games, his fewest required to reach the mark in his career. And among skaters who have played in at least 25 games, he's first in goals per 60 minutes at 5-on-5 so far in the season. Meanwhile, Dante Fabro is out with an upper body injury. Eli Tolvanen is going to miss his 3rd game in the COVID protocol, as again, they take on the Edmonton Oilers tonight at Rogers Place in Canada at 8 o'clock. That is going to do it for us. But, Caroline, you are coming up next for a special edition of The Six. Caroline Fenton and Elijah Campbell, what are we talking about tonight on The Six, Caroline?
We've got a full hour of Titans talk, quarterback talk, and a few betting picks for the night. So it'll be a good hour. Make sure to tune in.
Oh, you're going to go through the Russell Wilson breakdown too?
We just might, but I feel like we may have done our due diligence with Russell Wilson for the day.
I will be listening. That's it for us. We're out of here. Back tomorrow at 2.